galaxy far, far away, there exists a group of fierce and fabulous women who are on a mission to explore the depths of pop culture. They are the Galactic Gals, and they are here to take you on a journey through the cosmos of entertainment. From the latest TV shows and movies to a trip down the Milky Way of nostalgia, they will delve into the worlds of fantasy and imagination, bringing you insights and analysis that are out of this world. So buckle up, cosmonauts, and get ready to blast off with the Galactic Gals Pop Culture Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to Galactic Gals. And this is our episode 33, last episode of the year. So we're heading into 2024, and I'm hoping 2024 will bring much more interesting topics and a lot more fun. Hopefully a lot more fun than this stream today. Michelle is running a little late. She's having some technical difficulties, but regardless, I still have a stellar panel today. My husband Jason's decided to join us today to talk about this trash fire. Bless him. And along with Mega Geek and Retro Doc is back. So yeah.
Hello.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Oh Lord.
I am totally all in on this stunning and brave Disney Xerox doctor in his new Xerox TARDIS, created by the Magic Message Sledgehammer, that I wanted to come up with a cosplay outfit that would truly reflect this new era. So,
okay.
Happy New Year, everybody.
So are we going to call you Retro Doc today, or what should we call you?
Oh, absolutely, it's Retro
Elton
Doc.
John.
It's always Retro Doc.
Okay, all right, that hasn't changed then. Okay, all right. All right, man.
Don't you just love this? I got this. It's from the Barry Manilow collection at Sears.
Oh, all right. Okay. Well, you do you, Retro Doc.
And of course, this is in honor of Shooty's constant smiling that substitutes for an actual character.
Oh, and so Michelle's just in time to see this ensemble.
Oh dear.
And this, if you can see it, this is my tribute. This is my tribute to RTD, a clown that makes too much noise.
Oh, good Lord.
Love it, Gary. Love it.
Love it. Awesome.
And I've got the Shooty Orange, and I've got the Xerox TARDIS Blue, and this is my tribute to the sorely missed Jodie Whittaker.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Oh, so I'm assuming that you'll be praising this episode today.
Oh, I have 3 words for this episode: fabulous.
Oh dear.
Oh no.
He's lost.
Oops. Didn't mean to do that, Gary. Okay.
Oh boy.
So here we are in our beautiful poster of the week. Galactic Gals. Jason did a fabulous job per usual. And I think it's great per usual. So
where are they flying to? That's the question.
They're flying away from this trash fire known as Doctor Who.
Right. Okay.
That's where they're going. Yeah, that's where they're going. So all right. So going around the room, I do have a presentation, but going around the room, what did everyone think of this Christmas episode?
So
Silence.
you got to say who's first. I mean, I don't know. Who
Oh, well, you go ahead. Tell us what you think.
I really don't think this is Doctor Who now. I think I made a mistake. I was on a rabbi's channel, and I've only seen this once, and I made a mistake telling him that the ship blew up in a ball of flames, but it didn't. It kind of phased out. But obviously, I saw it once, and when I was having a discussion with him, even he said it blew up in a ball of flames. But when we looked again, it didn't blow up. It kind of phased out, and the baby dropped out the ship. So I was very wrong about that because I've only seen it once. But it's funny how Rabbi was defending it, but he even agreed that it blew up in a ball of flames until we saw it again. But anyway, apart from that, this episode was very, very, very disappointing, and that's me being nice. This is not Doctor Who. Russell T has created like fantasy. Now he's going full on fantasy, which means that he doesn't have to explain any kind of illogical thing that happens in the script. He can just blow it all away by saying this or referring to an old episode or whatever. It doesn't have an internal logic anymore, although they would argue the point that it does. But this episode, we'll get into a deep dive, obviously, but this episode was absolute rubbish, in my opinion. Here you go.
All right. So I'm afraid to ask Retro Doc what he thinks.
My cosplay persona, and I put on my normal Retro Doc persona. I would actually say that there's arguably a case here for a class action lawsuit against the BBC for false advertising, because there's absolutely nothing in this that even remotely resembles Doctor Who. Ian's right. I mean, it's propaganda. It's now RTD's playground to indulge all of his various obsessions and ideologies and create his kind of socially engineered dreamland. And when I was watching this, I didn't watch it until last night. I kept coming up with things throughout the week to do instead. And I just thought the word that kind of came to mind was soulless. I felt absolutely nothing while I was watching this. I didn't feel excited. I didn't feel involved. I didn't feel invested, in characters. It was just, and a lot of it, and as Ian said, we'll get into the deep dive. I didn't feel there was, at times I was watching Doctor Who, I felt I was watching the Shooty Gatwa show. I didn't buy him for a second as the Doctor.
Okay, not what I was expecting. I thought we were going to get a lot of praise, but maybe
you will. There will be praises to come.
All right. Well,
I think I'm molting.
All right, Jason. So, what did you think?
I'm going to defer to to Michelle.
Oh gosh, it was it didn't grab me like other, Christmas specials have right out of the gate. I found it very boring, lacking. I'm like, okay, and the next step and the next step. Come on, pick up, pick up, pick up. I could have fallen asleep to it. It was that bad for me. And I'm like, and this is supposed to be the doctor? Where's the doctor? He didn't even show up in the episode. He's just not the bold guy who comes in and is the smartest man in the room. No, instead he was like the prettiest man in the room, all twirling in his skirt, not a kilt, that was a skirt, and it just train wreck. I'm just waiting for it to crash and burn, and I'm gonna laugh when it does.
All right, awesome. So Jason, did you want to give your opinion?
I mean, I agree with what everybody said. I felt it really disconnected from the characters. There was nobody that I felt attached to. There's nobody I had any sympathy for or had any feelings for at all. I agree with that sentiment. It was a very detached feeling episode. It was especially stupid. For a Christmas special, I'm not big on Doctor Who Christmas specials. I know some people love them, but I've never really been big on them. But this one was especially notorious for just being dumb. I mean, the plot itself was stupid. There just wasn't anything there that felt. There were trappings of Doctor Who. You had what they were trying to pass off as a Sonic and things like that, but it really felt more like the sci-fi element was just thrown on there. It was very superficial. There was no real explanation for anything, but we'll get into all that. But I agree with what everyone else said. I just think that the show really glossed over the any kind of sci-fi aspect and left you just kind of left fans of sci-fi, completely devoid of feeling any satisfaction, in my opinion. But that's my initial take.
I felt like I was watching a companion, a very, very gay one, and his best friend that took over the TARDIS, and the doctor was MIA. That's what I felt. That's what I felt like. And then we had to have it seemed like an hour of just let's meet her family, who is completely uninteresting. That's what it felt like. And my God, give the woman some tea so she'll shut the hell up. That's what I was saying. Like, give her some damn tea so she'll shut up. She's just as bad as the woman that was screaming Benny in Orphan 55. It's a mockery of what Doctor Who is and what it really is, because it's like, I'm wondering if Ncuti just did what Jodie Whittaker did and just studied David Tennant, and he's not even doing a David Tennant like impression very well. He's over the top goofy, he can't be serious for 5 seconds. It's just everything is just, he smiles so much that it's awkward. And I just, yeah, I mean, just not to mention how they broke out in song. Like, that's just right there. I mean,
we'll get into that.
Yeah. But anyway, that's kind of I'm pretty triggered by it all.
I didn't watch his last show, Sex Education. How different is he playing this from that character?
I don't know, because I've never watched it.
I've watched maybe half of an episode, and it's not much different. That's what I'm saying. It was like a gay best friend and a straight friend hanging out, being stupid, talking about how they're talking to rope. He's talking about the language of rope. John Pertwee is rolling over in his grave.
What about there are some positive things about it, like special effects was really good. The set designs were really good as well. I like the apartment. It's a very unusual design, that long corridor, and then a kitchen, and then the bedroom, and then the last bedroom. I liked that. I liked Murray Gold's music. I thought Murray Gold's music was quite good in this.
Right.
Those are the only positives in this.
But you have the whole universe in a Disney budget, and you spend the majority of it in an apartment, a flat.
Yeah, I know.
So again, it's like I'm tired of this soap opera. Everything's got to be a soap opera. It's science fiction. Let's have science fiction. If I want EastEnders or Coronation Street, I'll watch that.
Also, did you notice at the ending? Obviously, he's leading it up to something because Russell T hasn't changed in his writing. He's literally copying what he did in the 2000s. So, did you notice that the next door neighbor was sitting in a wheelchair? Then suddenly, at the ending, she was standing,
Yeah.
and then she was. Do you know what I mean? So that's obviously skips in time, right there.
Right.
Which suggests something is building up to something, which is what Russell T does. Let's talk about Shooty, right? Shooty is a terrible actor. Just judging on this, I thought his acting was abysmal. There was no gravitas in his acting. There was no urgency or fun elements to his dialogue or to him, even as far as I'm concerned. And then you got the illogical step, which basically when Ruby was erased from time, then if she was erased from time, how the hell does the mother know who he is? Because without her, he'd have no reason to be there. So there's
Right.
an
So,
illogical point right there that doesn't
and
make
Jason
any
had
sense.
and he can go into more detail, but yeah, he mentioned that.
Yeah,
So,
so that doesn't make any sense. Again, I think Russell T's using this thing called fantasy now. So it's a fantasy episode now. So he can just put anything he wants in there, and he can give you the most lamest excuse, right? As long as it hangs on something a bit, then he used that as an explanation for what's happening in the Doctor Who. The singing stuff was just when they started singing, I was just sighing all the way through. I was thinking, this is not Doctor Who at all. It really isn't. And what was the point of him dancing in that vest top and the so-called kilt? What was the point? Did that lead on to anything? Was it necessary? He could have just met her in a bar. Do you know what I mean? And saved her glass. Do you know what I mean? It's obvious that Russell T wanted that in there to again.
oh no, he's actually written, and there's an article, and I think
Yeah.
I shared it on Discord and with Gary and them. But yeah, he's basically said that was his fantasy, just to see that kind of in a imagine literally saying in a club, him dancing just with abandon and just her noticing him. So that was been a plan for his for a while. Apparently, a fantasy of his.
I think all the show is going to be having from now on is going to be Russell's fantasy. But I totally agree with Ian. I thought of that myself, that him transforming this into a fantasy show is not stunning, but it is brave, I guess, because that'll allow him to get away with no script editor, lazy writing that makes no sense. Because, hey, it doesn't have to make sense. It's fantasy. You could have a giant plaid aardvark appear out of nowhere and solve everything at the end of the episode because it's just fantasy. But you know what? He's going to be backstopped by the shill media and from those fans who will suck up anything that RTD shovels out just because it's called Doctor Who. So, and I think he knows that.
Right.
And even when he said, "I am the Doctor" at the end, I just cringed.
Yeah.
I just cringed. I just thought to myself, this isn't the Doctor. This doesn't resemble Doctor Who at all. Again, we're talking about eating babies in this one, and I don't care what anyone says. Yes, you can talk about Brothers Grimm and all that stuff, but we're talking about 2003. We're talking about the agenda running through that. Make no mistake, it was put in there by design. Him gyrating in the club in the beginning. What you're trying to do, sexualize kids here? What is the problem here? Why do we have this scene? It doesn't lead to anything. It doesn't equal anything. If you took it out of the story, it wouldn't make any difference to the story whatsoever. So why have it? The reason why they have it is because they're trying to groom and show kids this is, trying to groom kids. I'll just leave it at that. So we know what they're doing. The question is, right, if you're a Doctor Who fan and you're so desperate for Doctor Who to work, you will ignore these facts that is happening in this episode and other episodes. What kind of a person are you? Do you know what I mean? Morally speaking. So
I want to ask, do you think it was intentional that the mom, if this who it is, was wearing boots that looked like Jodie's?
I think it is. I do think at some point in the new series that we're going to find out this is the 13th Doctor. Because there's no way, unless he's just like he wouldn't do that to the Jodie stands. He loves them too much. He's basically pandering to them.
Also, what doesn't make any sense as well is that he picks up the baby, he runs to the floating boat, and he destroys the floating boat. He does all that and put the baby on the church thing, and the priest comes out and takes the church, right? And when he goes back to the TARDIS, the woman is still leaving, still going away, walking away. That woman would have been ages away. You would never have seen her after all that. She would have just been gone. What, does she walk in pigeon steps or something? See, this is the kind of illogical thing that doesn't make any sense in the script at all, you know?
And if that does turn out to be the 13th Doctor, wouldn't Ncuti already know because he's already experienced that?
I'm sure they'll have some lame excuse for it. I'm sure they'll say something like, you know, he didn't realize this was the same instance where he basically helped, you know, help on the deaths of her parents, because that's the rumor that a previous incarnation of the Doctor, you know, accidentally was the cause of the death of her parents. So I could see them, but I don't know. Maybe they won't do that because it's the 13th Doctor and they don't want to like hate on her. So,
yeah.
So for people who have not, let's say for viewers who haven't seen the episode, just wanted to ask, what did you guys think of? Let's just talk about the plot, because obviously there was an intent to have a plot there. What did you think of the plot for this one, Ian?
It is non-existent, isn't it? I mean, it really, I mean, the story is just rubbish. It really is rubbish. Basically, these elves are stealing kids and they cause accidents. To what end? I don't understand what's going on. Also, they're time travelers as well. Huh? Do you know what I mean? None of it makes any sense to me.
Yeah, I totally agree.
It was like it was written by a 5-year-old. I would have written this when I was 10 in my secondary school. You know, that's the kind of writing this is. It was just awful. And again, I would say that Ncuti, I'm sorry, the man cannot act. He cannot act. I'm sorry. I would never have chosen this guy to play the Doctor ever. He doesn't bring anything to the page. He doesn't bring any gravitas to it. He's just running around smiling and saying to us, and his accent, where is that accent from? I don't know. The accent really grated with me for some reason. But anyway.
It's a combination between Scottish and Rwandan.
Really?
That's why it sounds weird. Because there's a little bit of Scottish in there, but it's mostly Rwandan. And I think, unfortunately, that takes you out a little bit. And not just that sounds horrible and mean, but it's true. Just like Jodie Whittaker's accent took me out immediately when I heard it.
But also,
it was too abrasive.
Just going back to Jason's question, right? What are the chances that the elves, right, would want to steal the baby from the same person that they were trying to steal when she was young? I mean, what are the chances? There's millions of babies around the entire world, yet they try to steal this baby that the Doctor was connected to. None of it. It's just rubbish. The whole screenplay is just absolute nonsense. You know, they have a table read before they do this. I bet you everyone that was reading it was going, "This is absolute crap," but nobody would say anything. I bet that's what was going through their minds.
Let me ask you, Michelle. The same question? What did you think of the plot for this story?
Lacking. He kept Ncuti when he why would you blatantly, or why would the Doctor blatantly just talk about time traveling? You know, time traveling is great, blah 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 blah. When in the past he just doesn't mention that out of the blue. Oh, by the way, you know, the goblin thing, the plot or lack of a plot. I mean, really, you know it.
What did you? But I mean, what was, in your opinion, what was the story to this? What were they trying to convey as a story, in your opinion?
Maybe how Ruby came about, but it just leaves you with even more questions. You know, who was the woman walking away? Was it possibly the 13th Doctor? And if it was, and if she had a baby, I'm sorry, if Ncuti's the Doctor, he should know. He just gave birth. He, it, they, whatever the hell you want to call them. You know, I mean, I've given birth 4 times. I will never forget. You know, it's something just a woman never does. But of course, we're talking fantasy land now. So, you know, it's hard to get inside his head. I wouldn't want to get inside his head. I was watching other shows talk about this, and somebody mentioned that they took this like out of Labyrinth. Well, I know Labyrinth is a fantasy movie with the goblins and the baby and everything. I've never seen it, so I don't know if he's just trying to copy and he not come up with his own ideas.
Yeah.
It's just lacking.
Great points, Gary.
I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah. Can I get your take on that same question? Just curious.
Oh, well, I mean, I agree with what Michelle said. I mean, it's kind of like asking, you know, did I like the Labyrinth movie? There's no plot to this. There's a series of events, which is way different than a plot. You know, basically the goblins are, you know, causing mischief and end up killing somebody and stealing babies. And then there's a lot of gobbledygook about using like the power of coincidence to surf the time waves to go back in history or whatever nonsense. And then he sprinkles in a couple of mysteries, I guess, to kind of keep people, you know, to keep the fan base talking for the next 5 months. Like, who's Mrs. Flood? Who was that woman who dropped off the baby? You know, because he knows that, you know, the power of everybody's, you know, social media obsession will kind of, you know, ride that. But other than that, there's no real plot. You know, nothing makes sense. There's a lot of, you know, virtue signaling sprinkled in there, and yeah, there is no plot.
No plot.
Right. Well, I don't know. What Bluebonnet, what was your take on the plot? Now you can say there was no plot, but do you have an idea of what the plot was?
Michelle was saying, it was just about how like Ruby's background and about her family. That's what I got from it. Like, you know, she was adopted and she was left by this thing that they look like the 13th Doctor. You know, who knows? And it's just you know, him trying to like save this baby from the goblins. It's like, it is just, I mean, honestly, since the Orphan 55, I've been just so annoyed by a whole, like, something that just literally doesn't have much of a plot. Gary's right. It's just a series of events.
That's all he's done. Yeah.
Let me ask you all, if this had been the first episode of the revival in 2005, would we still be here almost 20 years later talking about this show?
Nope.
Nope. Nope.
Nope. Nope. I'll tell you what was interesting as well in the beginning, which this is, again, I keep saying Doctor Who needs to grow up. In the beginning, right, he comes out of the snowman's head. He walks over to the TARDIS, and this policeman, is it policeman or traffic warden, whatever, and he says, oh, you know, you got the diamond in your pocket, and my stupid mouse recognizes the diamonds. I know you got a diamond. You're going to get married. You know, she's going to say yes and all that stuff. Then he goes into the TARDIS and the TARDIS disappears, right? What is the first thing that guy says? He walks away going, oh, she's going to marry me. Nothing about this thing that just disappeared right in front of you. That would be the first thing that would register in my brain, that this box just disappeared in front of me. And I'll be going, what the hell's going on? I wouldn't be thinking about the diamond in my pocket, walking around thinking about the person I'm going to get married, because that's just human nature. That's how bad the script is. And it's always been like that for some unknown reason.
Yeah, and the way Millie Gibson acted, you know, when she saw the goblins for the first time. Yeah. It's like, you don't think if you saw something like that, you wouldn't be screaming? No, yeah, like it just doesn't make any sense. And just how she acts, just like, you know, they're hissing at her and she's just like standing there like, oh, I've seen this. This is just a Tuesday. This is just normal. Yeah. It's like, no, it's not.
Yeah. She said, oh, did you just hiss at me? I swear to God, just like a gay person would, even though she's probably not. But that's what came across to me. And I'm like, really? You know, and I know she's young, And I know she's, I guess a child actor, and she's still working on her profession. And, she was energetic. I'll give her that. But she reminds me so much of Billy Piper and Rose Tyler's role. And for me, that's a complete turnoff. I want to get away from that. Go to something new, energetic, something that's exciting and grabs you, but not this way. It's just far from it.
I will say this, and I'm no Rose fan, but how Rose acted around the Ninth Doctor was more realistic than how Millie acted when she gets on this ladder, just like, oh, I do this every day, and like this is just normal. It's like, no, at least Rose acted like, what the hell's going on? She had some sort of like, oh my God, who are you? She's like, well, who are you? I mean, just like, oh, it's no big deal. This is what we see in London every day. And it's like, no, it isn't.
I've never seen Millie Gibson in anything before. I know she was in Coronation Street for a long time. So I think it would be unfair to say she's horrible in the role, because I think, you have to kind of see more as she kind of grows in this part. But I will say that this script did Millie Gibson absolutely no favors at all. I mean, as you said, her reactions to everything totally pulled me out of the story every time. There's no horror at the existence of goblins. There's no terror about this baby being taken. It's the whole, sorry, did you hiss at me? As this child is being taken away by these creatures. When she and the Doctor are tied up in the ship, I was kind of watching her more than I was watching Shooty, and she was just kind of sitting there with this kind of blank smile at everything that the Xerox Doctor was kind of rambling about coincidence and the power of coincidence and the language of rope. She was just kind of there with this gaping smile on her face instead of confusion and horror. I mean, compare that to Karen Gillan, Amy's reactions all throughout the 11th hour, which are totally on point, anger, confusion, demanding to know what's going on. She's trying to keep up with everything happening to her. And here, Millie Gibson just kind of,
that's what I keep saying,
follows the script.
That's what I keep saying. Doctor Who needs scrub. Do you remember? So basically, right, this introduction to Shooty didn't do him any favors in my eyes, put it that way. Do you remember that episode with Picoldi? It was the first episode with Picoldi, right? This is another thing that really pisses me off about the screenplays that Doctor Who coughs out. So there's this woman who has like a horrible green face, scaly face, right? And she's standing near the thing, and everybody's looking at her, and yet nobody questions why she's got a scaly face. What about when the T-Rex is walking on the Thames? The whole crowd is looking at T-Rex walking on the Thames. Wouldn't they be screaming and running? Do you know what I mean? That's the kind of things that really pee me off with Doctor Who, is that there is no eternal logic in these scripts. And also they keep saying this is a children's show. Unfortunately, Doctor Who's grown since the first episode ever, right? And it's become more than a kid's show. It's become more than a family show. So you should treat it with respect. Yet, throughout the years, they haven't. There's been fantastic episodes, but unfortunately, there's been a lot of stupid episodes in Doctor Who's history. And that includes New Who as well. And this is on top of the pile of stupid episodes, this one.
This has to be the worst. I mean, honestly, that I've seen. And and Jodie Whittaker's era was horrible.
Apart from this Fester McCoy first episode, that was awful. Got me, it's worse than this one.
that was bad.
Yeah. I think you're all just watching it wrong. You're watching it wrong. You're just supposed to sit there and soak up all the illogic and the virtue signaling that RTD shovels at you. Since he brought the show back 20 years ago, so that automatically means that he's going to be the savior of Doctor Who this time too. So anything he does will automatically be good just because it's him. Silly.
You can't sexualize. It's not good to sexualize kids. It really isn't, and this is what they're trying to do. They really are trying to do this. And again, I would say, what kind of a person are you if you support this kind of thing? You're ignoring what's going on. You can ignore his. So you're so desperate for Doctor Who, you'll ignore all these immoral stuff that's happening in the screenplay. That's the kind of person you are. That doesn't make any sense to me. Then everybody's different, right? Good luck if you want to support this Doctor Who. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to be nowhere near this Doctor Who. It's immorally wrong what they're doing.
And then he had to do it again, and he brought another trans person in the episode,
Yeah.
in the scene where in the bar,
Yeah.
where where Millie and her band, the singer wasn't fooling anybody. That's a man, baby.
Yep.
Oh, behave.
So what's that?
Oh, behave.
Oh, behave.
So
Well,
I don't see the point in this. It's like the percentage of these people is not like, they're not everywhere. They're not everywhere you go.
Yeah.
But in RTD's world, they're just around the corner. Which also takes you out, because I think, like, it's fine. Look, if you want to show that, that's fine, but like it's going to be in it every time now. Every time we're going to see a trans person, every time, and I just think that's unrealistic. I don't know what kind of world. Maybe in his world it's like that, but in the regular viewer's world, it isn't like that. People can't relate with that.
I mean, I don't mind if there's like one or two trans people in it, as the series goes on. But to actually keep demonstrating that there are a lot of these people around, which is not true, and to have them in parts that make no sense. You could have just cast someone that was normal. Oh, I say normal. Sorry, that's a bit bad. Someone that's not trans to play that part. That would work. But why would you? Anyway, I'll stop there before I get into trouble.
No, I know. I understand what you're saying. And like I said, I don't have a problem with it. I didn't have a problem with them adding Jinx Monsoon. I didn't, because if you're going to play a villain, that's, obviously, that's fine. But when you're going to like use this character to just perpetuate more politics, then no, I don't want it. I don't want things shoved in my face. So I'm all for diversity. Just don't want your politics shoved in my face.
But I mean, hang on a second, Andy. I mean, doesn't it seem hypocritical that they didn't want Davros in the life support unit anymore because people would associate disabled people with evil, but it's all right to make a drag queen the big villain of the season? I mean, what kind of comment is that making?
Well, because they have Rose Noble to like offset that, because she's the most beloved character in Doctor Who now, apparently.
Yeah, it's
according
not
to
in mine.
Articles. Well, no, not in ours. Not in people that have sense, right? She's a very small character, but the way that they act, like, she's coming back and they're all excited. But yeah, I really think that, like, just things like that, like, there's no need for that in every episode.
Also,
it's like, now you're just.
Let's think about the logic again, because I really have a bee in my bonnet about the logic, right? So basically, they climb onto this ship, this floating boat, whatever it is. They climb on, they're talking, and then they pop their head up and they see all the elves, and he says hello. Next thing, it's a jump cut, and they're tied to a pillar, right? How do all these elves do that? Because they're twice the size of those elves. They could have kicked and thrown those things. They could have stamped on them. Do you know what I mean? You could have kicked them off the boat. Do you know? It's like dolls attacking you. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, the doll doesn't stand a chance if it came to life and tried to attack it, unless it's got a big knife in its hand, of course. But how did they actually get them, push them up against the pillar, and tie them up? Was it ever established
how strong they are? I don't know if there was a scene that kind of established that. So maybe they're like,
that's what I'm saying, but
super strength elves, or excuse me, goblins.
But Jason, you're going down that avenue where it's now Russell T saying it's fantasy, so you can put any old crap in there. Do you know what I mean? That's going to
all be explained. That's all going to be explained in the novelization, which I've already pre-ordered on Amazon.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so here was kind of my issue with that. I think that for me, the thing that stood out as being even more illogical was, okay, so you have as you rightly pointed out, there's a segment where they're tied to a beam, right?
Yeah.
They for whatever reason. However that happened, we don't know. But then you have another section where they land on the platform that the baby was the conveyor, right?
Yeah.
And then there's no sense of danger, nothing, because although the goblins hissed at a distance, there was no attempt made to rush the doctor or Ruby. So to me, it's like you were willing to tie him up, and there was a scene where they're tied up, but then there's no attempt made to actually, abduct them when they're in the presence of what seems to be all of them. So there was that. I guess that being to me, that was very irrational.
As I said, right, he's added this thing. He'll always say now, Doctor Who's a fantasy show, and also people that support this crap will say the same thing. But again, right, when it comes to fantasy shows, there is a wall of logic that protects that fantasy. Like you like, for instance, Blue Bonnet's favorite show is what was those two guys called, the Winchester brothers, that show, right?
Oh, Supernatural.
Supernatural. If suddenly one of the Winchester brothers suddenly came out of the car and started flying, do you know what I mean? You'd go, oh, whoa, that doesn't make any sense, because they have a wall of logic that says they can't fly. That's not who they are. And Doctor Who, he's kind of broken that wall down, and now he's saying anything goes. That's what he's literally saying. So you can write any kind of crap and explain it as Doctor Who as a fantasy show, especially when they were singing. There was no reason for them. How comes Ruby created lyrics? She's like Eminem. She's brilliant. Do you know what I mean? Just like off the top of her head, creating these lyrics for this song. And where was the music coming from? I don't know. But, it's just, as I said, it was just stupid.
Well,
absolutely stupid.
The two big pieces of story illogic that I saw, one was in the club, and I hope we're going to have pictures of the club.
Oh, God.
But apparently he's the Flash, because he can get up from the dance floor up to the second floor, up to Millie to grab the glass in about half a second. So apparently he's the Flash. And also he's now Superman, because that stupid thing with the glove. Now, from what I understand, the glove centers all of your mass into like your hand, so you can just hold on to so your whole body is weightless except for all your mass is now in your hand. How does that translate to him standing there and being able to pull down a ship which weighs how much all the way down to, does that mean he's super strong now? So he's the Flash and he's Superman now.
Also, how did he know that once the big Jabba the Hutt thing was spared, that the boat will disappear, and they could have put that baby anywhere on that boat. So if the whole thing disappears, the baby could have been at the top side, and it could have fallen to its death. It's not a very good plan, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's the baby actually fell above him, so that he can catch it. It's like
it was a dumb plot. That was a dumb plot turn, because honestly, there was no way to know whether he was endangering the baby's life.
Exactly.
Well, that's like the beginning of the Flash movie, where you have all the falling babies.
For real, that baby would have died, because it falling from that distance and him trying to actually catch that child. If he didn't catch that child just right, could have snapped the baby's neck.
That's how Gwen Stacy died in the comics, right, Ian?
Sorry, say again.
That's how Gwen Stacy died in the comics, not from the fall, but because of the stop.
Because of the stop up. Again, right, Doctor Who needs to grow up, as far as I'm concerned, script-wise, screenplay-wise, story-wise. You just can't keep putting stuff in there and saying it's a fantasy show, and just breaking the fourth wall really pissed me off at the ending. It really did. I'm like, now this has become Deadpool. I don't know,
it did kind of remind me of that. It really did. I mean, now that you've said that, and I'm not a huge fan of Deadpool at all, but it did a little bit. Did remind me of that. Just that stupid humor.
Do we have any pictures of the dancing?
Oh, do we have pictures of the dance?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Now, isn't this just amazing? I haven't been this excited since I got my 4K Blu-ray of Can't Stop the Music.
Do you know what, right? Why was he wearing a kilt?
Well,
he wasn't in Scotland, was he? We all know why.
Easy access.
That's what I'm saying. You know, what was the point? The point was to show kids that you can wear a skirt. There's no question here. There's no gray areas here at all. At all. If he was in Scotland, I would understand why he's wearing a skirt, but he's not in Scotland, right? He's not in a Scottish bar. There is no reason other than to tell kids it's okay to wear a skirt. That's the reason why it's there.
Well, it's to show, look, you can be free.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. The more I think about this Doctor Who, the more I just want to keep my distance from it. I really do. Look, I will always say this, right? And I don't mean any disrespect at all. The Doctor should not have been a woman and should not have been a black man. Seriously, should not have. The Doctor has as a rhythm and a solid story arc that they should have kept, but they didn't because of politics. They put a woman as the Doctor and a black man as the Doctor. If you went 20 years backwards and you put a black man as a Doctor, I would have accepted it because it's not surrounded by all this agenda rubbish, and they would have treated him completely fine. Do you know what I mean? Like the other Doctors, and the color of skin wouldn't have mattered, and it would have been so much better. But today, obviously, because you got a gay man writing Doctor Who, he puts him in this kind of nonsense. And plus, the man that's playing the Doctor is gay too. So I'm not surprised this is what's going on at all. Again, I mean, no disrespect. As everybody knows, I'm Simon is a friend of mine and he's gay. You know, Little Platoon is a friend of mine and he's gay. Do you know what I mean? Stuff like that. And I've said things to them as well, and they agree with me that the Doctor should not be sexualized in any way.
It's not about whether you're opposed to homosexuality. It's not about your stance on race. It's not about any of that. It's about what's best and most suited for the show. It's about the continuity of the show. It's about the canon. It's about making sense of the show. And when you've got a show that's been around for 60 years and 50 of those years were spent with white characters that were male, and then all of a sudden you want to change that up and you want to develop this history that just never existed prior, showcasing multiple races, and you change the Doctor's origin. What do you expect fans, longtime fans who've been attached to the franchise for decades? What do you think they're going to think? It makes no sense. So
I do honestly think that it is, if you go back to that picture, and I do think honestly it is stunning that RTD would begin this new era with someone who doesn't remind you of the Doctor at all. I mean, do you see the true Doctor anywhere in that shot? Do you say, wow, this is a thousands-year-old Time Lord whose amazing adventures I've been watching for almost 60 years up through 2017? Hell no. I mean, we're not looking at the Doctor here. We're watching Ncuti Gatwa. The Doctor isn't someone who would be remotely interested in wearing, a yellow vest and a kilt to go dancing in a club.
Right. Can you take this back to Hartnell? I heard somebody on Twitter say, I think it was Matt Pounder actually said that like the baseline should be Hartnell. If you can connect it to Hartnell, then it's the Doctor. If you can't connect it to Hartnell in any way or see any kind of similarity, maybe not everything, right? Because it's not the same actor and then a little different personality. But can you connect Jodie Whittaker or Ncuti Gatwa to any of the original classic Doctors?
RTD has made the Doctor Captain Jack.
Yeah, he has. But they'll all say that Doctor Who's always been always has to go with the times and stuff like that. Yeah, look at every era of Doctor Who. It did go with the time, but it didn't change the Doctor. It didn't change the Doctor at all fundamentally. It kept the Doctor. Everything else changed around him. The companions, the settings, the music changed to set to the time that the Doctor came out. It's obvious that's what they should do. But they're changing the Doctor's character, fundamentally changing the Doctor's character.
There's a difference between going with the times and being defined by the times.
Yeah.
And RTD is defining the character and the show now by what he sees or what he would like to see as the times. Ian, as you said, this is not even, I mean, this is almost overrepresentation, as you referred to a little while ago. And so this is, you know, the show being defined by RTD's idea of what he would like things to be. Not in a good
Yeah, they have completely overrepresented trans people. Trans people comprise less than 1%, far less than 1% of individuals in the United States alone. So the idea that you would have multiple trans in these stories, it just smacks of, I mean, good God, the pandering is so obvious. And that's the thing, is this messaging is so loud it deafens the story. And let's talk about that for a minute, because if you take the canon out of Doctor Who, just for the sake of argument, hypothetically, let's just remove the canon, let's just remove the history, and let's just go with what they have, what they've given us. It's just bad storytelling, any way you slice it. Even if you take Doctor Who out of the equation, this just sucks as a story. There, I mean, even taken in its own, on its own merits, it has no good merits. And that's the problem I have mainly with it, is even if you take Doctor Who out of the picture and you try to just absorb this as its own entity, as its own franchise, it's just bad storytelling. It's just the production is okay. I don't mind the production, but I can't, you know, there's got to be more than just, it looks nice. And I just think the storytelling is completely flawed. It just as a story on its own, independent of Doctor Who, it's just bad.
Well, RTD has been quoted as saying that, you know, progressive is part of his makeup. That was that he was quote. You know, and as Ian said, he wants Doctor Who to reflect more of society. How about giving us an entertaining science fiction show first?
Well,
right. Make the storytelling good.
It's all wrong, though. Seriously, we can talk till the cows come home. This is not Doctor Who.
No.
I don't even know who this fella is. This fella is not the Doctor. What is he holding in his hand? Is it a mouse? Is it looks like a little sweet to? Actually, it looks like a cookie. But and again, this stupid scene where the policeman sees the whole box disappear, and it doesn't frighten him. He doesn't step back. He's not amazed. Do you know what I mean? The whole thing sucks. It really does.
Yeah.
And I'm being gentle here with this episode. It didn't anger me. It just made me feel sad. At the same time I saw Jodie pull off the hood off her head, and I saw Jodie, my heart sunk. When I saw this whole episode, when the credits were going up at the end, my heart sunk, right? I cannot watch a TV show with the agenda hovering above each episode, wondering whether it's going to slip into the episode that I'm watching. I'm not going to be held hostage to that anymore. They can have it now. They can keep it. I'm sorry, but this is not Doctor Who. Not as I know it anyway.
It's not Doctor Who. It's not even good. It's not even a good story. This is this is just bad storytelling in general. Even if you're not a Doctor Who fan, what are you going to latch onto here? And that's why I don't understand the people that are praising this. What are you praising? Well, I mean, what exactly are you praising? You've got time traveling goblins that apparently will feast for 3 days on a single baby with this Jabba the Hutt looking goblin, who looks like he could take down probably 20 babies in a single gobble, you know? Yeah. So I don't really understand how the people who claim to be Doctor Who fans not only can accept this as Doctor Who, but they can accept this as good storytelling. And I respect Dan's opinion. He has a right to that. And I like Dan. I just, you know, and I don't know why I mentioned Dan's name. I guess he's the first one that kind of came to mind. And he's genuine. He really likes it. And I respect that. I just personally don't see what people see in this. Not even as like I said, take Doctor Who out of it. I just don't see what people see in this as a good story, as a good TV show, period. I don't relate with it. I think there's so many plot holes. I mean, even as a fantasy show, there's got to be something that anchors the viewer to reality in some capacity.
You can't watch
and this
show.
Just is not. Where is the anchor? Where is the anchor? All of the reactions are unrealistic.
Yeah,
go ahead.
You're right.
Go ahead.
No, I'm
Ian.
just saying, you can't watch a show and hope that the agenda doesn't slip through. You can't. I mean, I've done that for the last 2 years now, and I'm fed up with it. I watched the first episode of God, what's that Star Trek thing called? The one with Pike. First episode, I was out, right? Hoping that would be good. Same thing with He-Man. I was out for first 2 episodes. What is it? Scott Pilgrim, 2 episodes of that, I was out. Do you know what I mean? I can't watch shows hoping that each episode is going to not have the agenda rubbish in there and not slag off men and stuff. I can't do it. I can't. And this is not, I'm telling you now, guys, this is not Doctor Who. I don't know what this is, but it's not Doctor Who. That Peter Bacaldi's run, that's where it ended for me. Definitely.
Well, it's like I said before. I mean, it isn't Doctor Who. I agree with you, Ian. It's the Shooty Gatwa show. I mean, the scene where Ruby and the Xerox Doctor start singing, you know, I thought, I'm not watching Ruby and the Doctor. I'm watching Millie and Shooty singing. I don't see them as actual characters at all. I mean, that was the scene of all the scenes. That was the scene where I thought this is absolutely just nothing wrong with the scene.
What was the point of the woman saying she wanted a cup of tea?
Why?
Yes. If you took it out, it wouldn't have made any difference to the story whatsoever. Why did we have that scene? In fact, why was Millie's parents black? I asked that question, keep asking that question to myself.
Right. I honestly don't believe that she would have adopted Ruby. And maybe I'm wrong for thinking that, but I just don't think that I don't think that happens a whole lot. I think it probably does, but I think it's pretty rare. I could be wrong. I can't speak for, that. But
my sister is a foster parent. She fosters a lot of kids. In fact, she did adopt. They fell in love with one kid and they adopted her. So Macy, her name is. So that they adopted her, but they weren't black. My sister's not black. Do you know what I mean? And the kid they adopted was white. But if you're gonna, there's what makes me laugh about the BBC is that they want to have this diversity, yet there's no mixed race people in that world at all, is there? Do you know what I mean? If they're black, they have to be black. If they're white, they have to be white. And if you're a white male, you're gonna have to be slammed upon. That seems to be their mantra, isn't it? All the way through every show that they're making. Even Agatha Christie's latest one, they put all that crap in there as well, and yet they say they're not a woke channel. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's so obvious to me and everybody on this panel that this is what the BBC is doing. I can't be asked anymore. I really can't. If you love Doctor Who and you respect Doctor Who, you should be out completely now.
This actually not that I wasn't getting to that point anyway, but this was kind of like just what and actually when I saw the trailer, which we'll play at the end here, that was it. Like that was really it. I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. I'm done being insulted. Because this is just insulting now. This is insulting to a great show, a once great show. And you're insulting the fans now, the real fans, not these people that just watch it because they want a virtue signal.
Yeah.
Well, and Russell said that was his intent, was to piss us off. And he's doing so. But the ratings will take a nosedive.
Exactly. I mean, I was just about to say that I think this era is going to be ruled by the 3 Ps: pandering, pissing off, and plummeting ratings. Pandering to Gen Z and other audiences that aren't going to show up anyway, pissing off established fans and anyone with any actual discernment, and plummeting ratings, which have already started.
That line really does. I didn't notice it until somebody pointed
That's why
it
I put
out.
it up there.
Yeah, I didn't notice it until somebody pointed it out. So
and Jason did some research. So Jason, would you like to kind of tell everybody what you found out about who?
No, it was no big deal. It was just I was thinking, there's obviously people out there who might try to make sense of this by saying that, they might try to put some truth to it or fact to it by saying that, it actually was hot when Harry Houdini was in New York. It was hot. It's like, no, the average temperature was around 74 based on my research, and 1874, I think it was, or whatever it was. It was not a hot summer. So obviously this was a sexual innuendo. That was kind of the point.
Yeah,
I see.
The online coping is astonishing to witness. This week, the way that everybody's been rationalizing all of this.
I do like that set though. I think that set's pretty neat.
I think I said, Ian, I think I commented one day when Dan was kind of previewing this, that this kind of had a Goonies feel for me in terms of the set design. It reminded me of the ship from the Goonies.
Yeah.
That's a good observation.
Yeah, again, right. The way he was introduced as the Doctor wasn't right. That, if you compare it to the Christmas Invasion walks all over this via intrigue, mystery, stupidness with the flying Christmas trees. The ending where he has a fight with the sword and kills him in a Satsuma. All of that stuff is absolutely terrific. And then the Prime Minister firing and blowing up the ship, and the Doctor says, the Doctor warns her. All that stuff is pure Doctor Who, all of it. And what do we get in this one? Prancing around in a skirt. The policeman ignores the TARDIS disappearing in front of his eyes. Just eating babies. The list goes on. Again, I would say this is not. How could this be Doctor Who? How?
It isn't. It isn't Doctor Who.
Can I actually say, Andy, if you give me the screen, I actually just want to say I love that whole eating babies part as part of my cosplay. Local ordinances here unfortunately prohibit the actual eating of babies. So I actually got some sugar babies that I'll eat while I watch this episode again. So.
It's called Jelly Babies over here. And also, what's really funny about this is that if that monster likes eating babies, why create a treadmill to make the baby go all the way towards him? Why don't they just pick it up, throw it in its mouth, and be done with it? Do you know what I mean? Say, what is the point of the treadmill? And people see it as just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
maybe that was the runway for them to prance on. Who knows?
Oh yeah, because he's got to do his dance number.
Yeah.
The thing that really made no sense about this was, if you actually, which I took the liberty of kind of taking a gander at the lyrics for this stupid song, and the line that just stood out to me as being completely idiotic was, "We've got a baby, we can feast, we can dine 3 days at least." It's like, come on.
How could you?
I guess people really don't pay attention to the lyrics.
How? Because it's just one baby. So what? But the thing is going to eat it whole, isn't he?
Yeah.
So how
That's one bite, dude. That's a Hershey's Kiss for this monster.
I don't know what's going on. All the money must have went to the CGI for the little children's faces for the goblins. It must have done, because everything else was just rubbish. Let's face it.
And it wasn't even that good. I mean, it really isn't. This is the Disney budget. And once you see the trailer, you'll see as well as like, where did the budget go?
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, this looks like, I mean, I'm sorry. It looks like shit. It doesn't look good. I mean, you would think that, look, season 8, 9, and 10 had better special effects than some of it. Some of it is great, but some of it is like, where did you put the money? Because I don't understand. And maybe Shooty's costumes. I mean, that's gotta be where, because these things don't look realistic to me.
Yeah.
I would drop kick these little things. I don't
understand how they could give the green light to a screenplay like this. Again, shouldn't there be somebody saying, "Wait a moment, that doesn't make any sense"? And how does he do that? And
nobody's going to tell Russell that.
Yeah, well, Russell's an idiot. Sorry, but
no, of course I agree with you, but nobody's going to tell him, "Hey, you'll be looking for work by noon if you try to do that."
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
probably.
No one's going to say, "Russell, what have you done? You madman." They're not. They're going to kiss his ass because they need a job.
One interesting thing that I saw this week that came out was that everybody, for the longest time, everybody was going, "Oh, Disney's not going to be involved. Disney's only going to have is only financing," as if anybody who tosses a barrel of money, is going to be okay with, not having a say in what goes on. Apparently, that whole because apparently Disney test screened this episode, and because of that, per Disney's instructions, Russell added that whole scene of the giant snowman about to fall on the car. That was the reshoots that was a couple months ago, because per Disney's notes, they wanted to have more of like the action doctor up front, closer to the top of the show. So he wrote in that whole falling snowman scene on Disney's instructions. But no, Disney doesn't have anything.
That was the action doctor. A snowman falling on him, and he just opens the window and has some sass.
I'm not trying to be the apologist for that. I'm just saying that was the genesis of that scene.
No, I know you're not trying to apologize for it or be an apologist for it, but that's what they consider action doctor.
Well, they wanted him to be doing something more exciting than dancing around, I guess.
It's true.
Well, they could have done better than that. They could have taken some notes from the John Pertwee episode.
But they don't want to go. They don't want to take any notes from any white man, because that's going against what they believe. But it's just, as I said, this is for me. This is not Doctor Who. It's just some kind of, I don't know what the hell it is. Tell you the truth, it really is just the whole thing's just annoying. I don't understand how they could have greenlit this screenplay. It's awful.
Andy, could you put up the JP Fawn's last comment that you just had up a minute ago? No, it was the one about that one. Now, I've got to say, I am so glad that we've gotten over all of this silly, the Doctor is asexual nonsense, or, kissing women. I mean, come on. I can't believe the Doctor who's made it 60 years without ever delving into the Doctor's gender identification and sexual preferences. I mean, good on you, Russell.
The time has come.
Yeah, believe you me, it has. And also, the treadmill stops there, doesn't it? You think the treadmill will go straight to his mouth, but it doesn't really. What do they pick up the baby and walk on his belly and throw it in his mouth or something? And what's going on there? I really don't know. This is so
here.
bad.
I was waiting for somebody to jump up in a bikini and have a chain and strangle the Goblin King.
Actually, for a minute, I thought this was a picture of RTD in between like scenes, like he's saying "cut" here. So
it could be.
Yeah, that's more likely. But yeah, it's just and Gary can tell you how I feel about musical numbers.
I hate musicals.
You love them.
Do you know what? Right? Could you see this man coming into audition for Doctor Who, and you almost falling off your chair, going, "He is so right for the Doctor. Oh my God, he nailed it." Yeah. No, there's no way.
He nailed something, all right.
There's no way that this person beat everyone that came.
Ian, that reminds me of when I saw Chibnall praising Whittaker, saying she was absolutely she blew him away during the audition. It reminds me heavily of that.
Which she didn't really, because she didn't audition because he had her in mind anyway. So it was a shoe-in for her. So there you go. But this guy he's not the Doctor. Immediately when he opens his mouth, you're like, what the hell am I watching? And that costume sucks.
What it feels like to me is when he starts spewing a bunch of technical gobbledygook. It's not believable whatsoever. To me, it strikes me as like you can make anyone say anything. But with him, it comes across as so unbelievable. I don't for a minute believe that this guy knows anything about the technology he's, is wielding whatsoever. And to make matters worse, when you pair that feeling with lines like, what was the line? It was, "Oh yeah, I'm learning the vocabulary of rope." What? You mean you can speak rope?
It's stupid,
it just,
isn't it?
Stuff like that.
It's stupid, isn't it?
Really, really stupid. Let me take a second, by the way, for viewers out there who are enjoying this stream, would you do me a favor, or just do us a favor and give us a like? It would really help the YouTube algorithm to, get our channel out to other viewers. So it would be a great help if you would. Anyway, but no, there's just so much about this episode that makes absolutely no sense. There's just none. the whole, dining for 3 days on a baby, you're speaking the language of rope. They don't explain why coincidences flavor food for these goblins. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That just so stupid. There's just so much stupidity. You expect, I guess he's just appealing to brain dead people who he's counting on people just not being able to think.
Billy Gibson said this week, it's all about getting the Gen Zers. They want the TikTokers. They want somebody who's only going to pay 10% attention.
This doctor is for no one but for Russell T. This actor is for no one but for Russell T.
Oh, yeah.
I'm serious. We don't care about this person at all. He's a terrible actor as far as I was concerned. He doesn't have any gravitas whatsoever. He didn't display it in this. Mind you, the script was awful, so you never know. You might display it in future episodes. But, there's that trailer at the ending where he's dancing with a guy, and I'm like, oh, bloody hell. So, yeah, I say this again. I'm out, definitely. Going to be watching.
Did you guys hear him? Let me ask you a question. Did you hear him use the word at any point during the show, gravity?
Yeah, he didn't say gravity. He said the other word.
That's right.
Yep.
And so this is like,
it's already way, way too old.
Yeah,
it's like, we get it.
This is something linked with something, an ongoing storyline. Same thing with the old woman from EastEnders. There's going to be something happening with her as well. It's just leading up to something which I don't care now, because as I said, this is not Doctor Who. What again, right? I always question this. You park your TARDIS in the middle of the pavement. If you did that in my estate, that thing would have been dragged away a long time ago. 15 minutes tops, the police would have been there. They would have dragged it away. You'd have to go and pay for it or something. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. You can't just park. And what's the excuse? Oh, it's TARDIS. Everybody, people. I remember Russell T was saying this about the Chris Eccleston episode. You can park the TARDIS anywhere and people just ignore it. No, you won't ignore it. A big blue thing in your in a council estate. They'll have the doors off it in less than 5 minutes. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. Anyway.
Yeah, the thing about it is even fantasy movies, TV shows, whatever, just because it's fantasy doesn't mean it doesn't need to have its own internal logic. I think some people think if it's fantasy, anything goes. The rules are out the door. Literally anything can happen and it doesn't matter. That's not true. It needs to have an internal logic so that the viewer is kind of oriented as to what's happening. And
right, there needs to be a framework that makes sense.
Yeah.
Russell just thinks that he can just do anything and people are just going to eat it up. And that's a big mistake. He's made a big, big mistake. Now, a lot of people aren't. A very few people are buying this. This is exactly because if a lot of people were buying it, the ratings would be up.
You see, they're spinning the 4 million thing. So basically, they're spinning it as Strictly Come Dancing, or whatever the thing's called now. It got 5 million. And second comes Doctor Who at 4 point something million. Do you know what I mean? They're spinning it that, look, it's second in the ratings. Look how well it's done. But they're not mentioning that last week was 5 million and it's gone down from 5 million to 4 million, which 4 million plus actually. So that's 1 million, and so people that's tuned out of this episode. So they're spinning that as well. And again, right, I don't understand the logic in any of this episode at all. It is going to lose viewers as it goes along. I don't wish that for Doctor Who. I wish the people that like this, I hope that this is a success and they could that could be their Doctor. But for me, this is not Doctor Who. I keep saying this. Sorry, I sound like a broken record.
No, you don't.
I'm meaner than you. I'm meaner than you because I hope it burns.
I mean, this aside, I agree with you. I mean, there's no surprise. I mean, it's no surprise why Davies wanted to be paid for Disney to pay him for 2 seasons up front, which is what happened. I mean, he's got his money now. He can now use the show as his playground for all of his, gender, sexual ideology. The audience reaction doesn't matter. It's already filmed.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. I'm not really sure what will happen if the ratings drop down. But I mean, he's already gotten his check for 2 seasons of work. He's not he's not worried about. He's not the 2005 Russell, which basically had to prove himself, and audience reaction was everything. And audience acceptance of the new format and the new Doctor was everything, and he had to moderate himself based on that. He's got his money. It's all done. He doesn't care.
Well,
John Steed says alarm bells rang out loads when Davros was taken from his chair. And I think that that's when a lot of people that were like me, we were trying to like, okay, I'm going to be like cautiously optimistic, started saying, oh, hell no. No, that was the very beginning. But when we saw the Star Beast with the pronouns is when I think people really went off the rails and they got very angry and very like people that were completely for this era have just basically said, no, we're not going to put up with this shit anymore. And I think that's a good thing. And I always think it's a good thing to watch before you make judgments. And that was very hard for me. So having to sit there and be quiet, seeing all these articles coming by going, I want to say something, but you know, when I started seeing the Davros thing, that's when I started opening my mouth, and it was so nice actually just to be free of it.
If you go back 2 years and you watch, say, any show to do with Doctor Who, everybody was like really excited that Russell T was coming back, and Disney's involved in it. I remember somebody said, yeah, but Disney, Disney's only distributing it. They're not. It still belongs to the BBC. Russell T's going to do right by this. He's going to retcon the Jodie era, and it's going to be saved and all that rubbish. And how wrong a lot of people were, because Russell T's just using this show as his sexual fantasy, as far as I can tell, and just putting in rubbish and things that doesn't make any sense, and all of that.
Well, you got to figure hindsight is 2020, and I'm one of the people who did reserve judgment, wanted to remain neutral until I saw the definite signs that there was something to be upset about. And for me, the reason why is because Russell had a history of making what some people consider good Doctor Who. There was evidence to suggest, meaning his history, there was evidence to suggest that it could possibly be something worthwhile. Whether that's true or not, I didn't jump to that conclusion, but there was a possibility. And I think for people who were kind of reserving judgment, and I wasn't, I was cautiously optimistic, but I wasn't sold on the idea that he was going to bring this back in force. But I was certainly open to the possibility because he had done it at one time. So I think there was evidence to suggest, to give credibility to the people who might have reserved judgment, like myself, and I still stand behind that, because if you're not going to do that, then you stand a higher chance of being wrong, regardless. But nonetheless, I think that was kind of the logic behind people who did reserve judgment. So I'm not going to throw tomatoes at those people, because I was one of them.
I mean, the thing is, I don't care if I'm right or wrong. If I'm wrong about Doctor Who and it's brilliant, then yeah, I would be really happy. But I guess I was warning people, saying, no, you got the BBC and you got Disney, two of the wokest companies in the world. What do you think is going to happen here? What do you think? Oh, no, but we've got Russell T. He'll set everything straight. Oh, Russell T is gay. So why? So what difference does it make if he's gay? He was gay when he did 2000 Doctor Who. And I'll be sitting there going, okay, fine. You'll just keep.
Okay, but what was your reason for believing that he was going to woke it up?
Those three reasons.
What were they?
First of all, it's Disney, one of the wokest companies in the world. BBC, one of the wokest companies in the world, equals Russell T, who is gay. So there you go.
But what evidence did you have to suggest that Disney's involvement would lead to it just being woke? Because they did put out The Mandalorian.
Yeah, that was rubbish.
No, The Mandalorian was not rubbish. The Mandalorian was actually a really good show, in my opinion. Now, if you thought it was rubbish, that's okay. But I didn't think it was rubbish. I liked The Mandalorian.
The first season was passable. Second season was not very good, and third season It was awful. The Mandalorian wasn't even the star of his own show anymore. It was the woman that was with him. She kept saving him. He kept getting into trouble. Do you know what I mean? So the woke thing had set into Mandalorian completely and utterly.
I guess I didn't get as much. I don't want to turn this into a Mandalorian stream, but I guess I didn't get that as much because I felt like, yes, there were some elements there, but overall, it was tearing up anything else, even remotely in the same league. It was killing anything else because there were elements to the show that were just great. And then there were some elements that were just not believable.
Season 1, yes, obviously. But as it went along.
No, I'm talking about like even up to the very end when you have Luke Skywalker's character entering the scene.
That's not the end. That wasn't the end. You had another season.
No, you're right. You're right. That wasn't the end. But
sorry.
I did. Hold on. I'm trying to mute Bluebonnet's mic here. No, but I thought even up until the end, though, I thought it was, it was passable. This is not even remotely in the same universe. This is not even in the same universe. But I wouldn't have known that if you had told me that, well, it's Disney. And then I'm thinking, well, look, Disney, there's about there's a high chance that it could go woke. But then there are exceptions to that. And I'm looking, like I said, I'm looking at Mandalorian and I'm thinking, well, there is a possibility. So, and the fact that it's not totally Disney, this is a collaboration. And even if you have Disney's input to an extent, I was still thinking, well, there is a chance, that it could be something worthwhile. We don't know. I mean, Mandalorian, like I said, it caught me completely off guard. I was expecting that to be woke as shit. And it didn't live up to that.
Because Jon Favreau was in charge, and then suddenly he wasn't in charge, and they got rid of him, but his name's still on the credits. So that's when it went. Either way, if you start off solid with something that doesn't have any woke in it, if it's under the ban of Disney, you bet your bottom dollar, maybe season 2 or season 3 is going to be completely woke. So that's what happened with Mandalorian. But obviously, we're not talking about Mandalorian. We're talking about Doctor Who. Again, right? Disney has the record of making every show woke. So there was this Doctor Who was going to be an exception. I mean, I did say that to people, but even I had to question it, just like you. Oh, maybe it's going to be good. But it wasn't. It was woke. Completely.
Well, we know that. Yeah, we know that now.
Yeah, now, yeah.
I'm not advocating prejudging. I actually had a lot of respect for, Andy in our Discord chat saying, I'm not going to judge it until I see it. And I really respected that. But there's a difference between not prejudging and not, you still have to pay attention to the warning signs. And everybody was not, well, everybody, I'm just using that. Everybody was still thinking or hoping or whatever that this would be like 2005 Russell all over again. That's a very different situation. He was answerable to a lot of people back then. He had to establish the show for a general audience. There were a lot of creative speed bumps that I think slowed probably even his own personal preferences down because he had to play to a larger general crowd. Now, 15 years later, if you look at everything he's done since Doctor Who creatively, you look at all the articles he's written or all the speeches he's given or all the comments that he's made in the press, this suffuses everything that he is. There's literally no way that for somebody who is where this is part of his ideological makeup that he was going to put this aside and be the 2005 Russell all again. All those speed bumps that he had in 2005 are gone. He's the BBC's golden boy. They're totally in sync ideologically. The brakes are off. And all you really have to do is just kind of look at everything he's done since then to realize that it was probably going to be the case with Doctor Who.
Well, can I jump in here for a second? Let me just say that the reason why I think there was some hope on some people's part was because one, yes, you're right in all of your points. I guess for me, looking at this through the optics that I was seeing it was one, we're coming out of a horrible era. This wasn't like we were coming from Capaldi's era. If we were coming from Capaldi into this era, I might even have more faith, but it would make more sense to some degree that maybe there would be a shift. But to pivot from Whitaker's era to an even, I guess, even worse position seemed possible, but potentially unlikely because of I guess, the response that fans had given to the Whittaker era. So it seemed fathomable to me that this would have been an attempt to pivot away from the disaster that was Whittaker's era. And then you combine that thought process with, okay, he's brought back Murray Gold. He's brought back an old logo. He's brought back Tennant. There are signs that if you take it all into consideration, that could potentially lean toward a view of, that seems to me like it could be indicators of something more optimistic. But then you start seeing this shift, this pivot sort of in the middle, when there's a lot of fanfare about RTD, and you see a lot of this evidence, but then you start seeing some cracks in that. And some of those things did get my attention. I think that the thing that really kind of made me rethink my assessment and kind of leaned me heavily in the direction of, okay, this is probably going to be, we're seeing some cracks in that theory, but was Davros. That was the first thing that led me to think, okay, that, because originally I was like, well, okay, this is before he had his accident, right? So this is Davros before he was in the wheelchair. Well, that didn't pan out. That wasn't the case. So when I realized the gravity of what he was actually doing with Davros, I was like, okay, well, that to me is a big sign. But it didn't. But there were other signs outside of that would lead someone like myself to think, okay, there's some positive signs here. There's some signs that he's leaning into classic era. So to me, that was kind of the. I mean, do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, do you kind of see what I'm saying with that?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but the thing is, though, that I learned from previous shows that this might go south, and it did. Like, for instance, with Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith lied to everyone, saying that He-Man's going to be this, and this. And then when they showed the show, He-Man was killed in the first episode. So he literally went out of his way and lied to the fan base. And I had a lot of respect for Kevin Smith before he did this. But that's one example out of many examples. So I was very wary, even if he did show us the logo and he said David Tennant was coming back, I was very wary that it could go south. And unfortunately it did. So yeah.
And just to be clear, I mean, I would never tell anybody not to have hope in anything. I mean, the Fourth Doctor, what did he say? He said, one, hope is better than a cartload of certainties. And that's true. That's absolutely true. But I think you can have hope, but I think especially when you have like an X factor, like things are under the control of somebody who is such an extreme ideologue, whose ideology supersedes anything and everything that they're involved in. I mean, it directs it and it dictates it. I think that is a factor that you have to consider. To what degree is up to you. And how to consider that. But I think when you're dealing with a show that will be affected by somebody's personal ideology, I do think that you have to consider that. But I wasn't saying, oh, you're wrong to have hope, because I think anybody that says anybody's wrong to have hope is terrible. I mean, hope is.
Well, I think there were signs, though. I think there were signs early on that it was a bait and switch. I mean, maybe you felt that way right from the get-go. I didn't, because I have seen things that led me to think one thing. Like I said, Mandalorian, I was under the impression that this is probably going to be woke as shit, and it wasn't. Like, from when I started watching the first season, I didn't get that. So I can see exceptions to the rule and take that into account. Not only that, but seeing interviews or reading interviews with Russell where he's commented about how diversity is killing writing. He doesn't want to partake in diversity hires, even though that's exactly what he's doing now. But that's something that he'd commented on early on. So it's these comments, it's these bringing back classic trappings of Doctor Who. It's a lot of that gives a person, I think, reasonable hope. But yes, he is definitely partaken in a classic bait and switch.
And one thing we haven't talked about, I know we've talked about it on some other past streams, and Andy will tell you we've talked about it occasionally on Discord, is I think a bigger issue is with these 4 kind of non-specials. I think, to me, in my opinion, RTD's already shown that he has nothing new to bring to the table. I mean, he's recycling his old stuff. He's even, I think, in a way, you could even construe that he's kind of ripping off Moffat's Impossible Girl trope with the mystery of Millie Gibson. And he's basically just lifting old ideas from his initial run, jamming in virtue signaling every 5 minutes. The whole thing of Millie Gibson walking around the TARDIS, I didn't feel anything during that scene, because to me it was like, okay, been there, done that. I can't see so far that, beyond the agenda stuff, that he really has something fresh and new to really bring to the table beyond everything we've been talking about.
Well, it's dead.
No, it's dead. It's dead, guys. It's been dead, but it's really, it's like now they're just raping the corpse. They're just continually raping the corpse. It's been dead since 2017. When Capaldi said, "Doctor, I'll let you go," it was a sign for us to let go. But but it's hard to let go. It really is. It's hard to let go of a show that you love.
There's one thing that I do like about this era, is that he didn't become the Doctor the way he was meant to become the Doctor. So he's something else, in my opinion. Regeneration rubbish. So one Doctor didn't die to create him. And in my head canon, he is not the real Doctor, as far as I'm concerned. The real Doctor died.
There's a Reddit rumor, and I think it was a show that me and Michelle did. I don't know if you were part of that one, but I think it was the show last time where we talked about that the rumor is he's going to be he's going to become the Valyard at some point. But they said that with Jodie Whittaker too. I just think that's just a fan hope.
Yeah. It's again, right. I hate his costume. You might as well just stick him in Shaft or something. I just honestly just thought this episode was just complete and utter trash. It really was, from story aspect. Again, I said positives are the sets and the music and the special effects. They were top notch as far as I was concerned.
What did all of you think about Murray Gold? I know, Ian, you've said Murray Gold was good in this. What did the rest of you think about?
So Michelle, you love Murray Gold. What are your thoughts on this episode?
Some of his music in here was good. I still don't like that opening sequence, that heavy breathing. It just really was off-putting for me. I don't know why he's got that in there. I don't know if they're trying to say words or what, but some of his music fits some of the scenes, for what the scenes were, which was rubbish for me. But I saw a comment earlier on the stream, and I have to agree with Jack. He calls him Doctor Who, and I agree. This is the Doctor.
Very good, Jack.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I like that.
Okay.
Yeah. And because he's mocking everything that we've all grown up with and fallen in love with. And this is just so far from it. And, I had that hope too. And, watching the specials, getting to this point, the music was there. Everything was, so. And then the last special with Neil Patrick Harris felt more like a Doctor Who episode, which is what I liked. And then now we're here, and it's like all just gone down the drain. So it's like Doctor Who's dead for me too, and that sucks. But, thank God for DVDs, so I can go back and watch what I want to watch.
And the thing about it is, I think that obviously,
I just think it all could be way better. I know we're in fantasy land. And Ian, when you were talking about the cop outside the TARDIS with the diamond ring for his girlfriend or whatever, and he acts like he's seen it before. I can't help but wonder, maybe in this particular universe, maybe everybody's seen it, and so it doesn't faze them. Because the toy maker did do something, but I don't know. But I'm probably not going to watch any more of it to find out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I don't know. I just think it's stupid.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
interested.
Well,
I'm really not, and I have a lot of apathy right now. I don't, a lot of people online, they're trying to, figure out who Mrs. Flood is. I don't give a shit who Mrs. Flood is. I really don't. I have so much apathy that, Russell T Davies and Chibnall have literally made me not care about current Doctor Who at all. I just don't. And when I see these posts of people like, well, who's Mrs. Flood? Is it the Ronnie? Is it the Master? I don't care.
if
I
I had
don't
a
care
dollar for
anymore.
every time somebody said that some new character was going to be the Ronnie.
You'd be
Yeah,
rich.
no, I get it. No, I do. I think that's it gets old, It gets old after a while, and it's like, and I have to watch myself because I'm, look, if people like it, great, but I have to watch myself because I'm like, man, I can't trust you anymore if you like this. I just can't trust your opinion anymore. Especially if I liked you at one time and you're buying into this. I just can't. No offense to you. If you love it, great, enjoy, but just know I can't I can't trust your opinion anymore because
No, well, I mean, I think that's slightly unfair. Let live and let live. That's what I believe. If somebody has a different opinion to me, that's fine with me.
right.
I
But
mean,
at the same time though, yeah,
Mm.
no, that's fine if they have a different opinion. I'm not saying you can't have a different opinion. I'm saying though, if you like this, this is lowbrow. This is lowbrow Who, and if you like
Mm.
this, I just can't trust your opinion. If look, we could still be friends. I have no problem with someone. Hey, I love it. Great, enjoy. But again, it takes down my thought. My opinion of what you think of something. So if somebody says, "Hey, this is a really great show," I'm going to question it.
yeah, I hear
That's
what
all
you're
I'm
saying.
saying.
Yeah, I know, I hear what you're
Yeah.
saying, but
Yeah,
I
I'm not saying, hey,
Yeah.
you're a bad person for liking it. I'm just saying though,
I just
yeah,
think there's two kinds of people that really like this. One is the people that are for this kind of community and this kind of agenda, and two is the people that are so desperate to want Doctor Who back, they'll ignore the basic fact that they're trying to sexualize kids in a kids show. They'll ignore it just because they want Doctor Who back. I'm not saying this is the case for my friends who like this Doctor, but they have to be wary of it. There's no way they could not ignore the fact that this is they're trying to groom children. So they can argue the point all they want, and they can think they're right. That's fine with me as well.
Yeah.
But I can see what's going on, and yeah, this is not for me. Again.
yeah, no.
I was actually going to ask that, and Ian kind of brought it up there. Since RTD has proudly said that they're targeting children with all this, what do all the rest of you think about in the panel? If you were a kid of whatever age, coming into this show new, since that's their declared target audience, what do you think that kids will think about this?
I don't think kids will think anything of it, to tell you the truth. But it's subtle. It's subtle, subconsciously telling, it's basically reprogramming or programming kids. That's the whole concept of grooming, isn't it? To actually tell kids, yeah, it's all right to, wear a skirt. It's all right to be gay. It's all right to be trans. It's all right, this, that, the other. I believe personally, none of that stuff belongs in a kids show. I believe none of that stuff belongs in a show, period. Right? Yes, you can have a trans person in there if you want to, but this idea that you have to tick all the boxes to make a TV show is I find completely ludicrous, personally, because that destroys creativity. Do you know what I mean? And now they're telling you how to think and how to draw out your imagination, which is crap. Because
And
your
that's
imagination, your imagination.
and that's
You know what
why
I
I
mean?
think this is lowbrow. I think this is lowbrow Who, because it's like it's all about somebody's sexuality. It's all about like getting these agendas forward. So to me, this isn't like, this is they've done what Chibnall's done, is they've completely forgotten the story, and let's focus on what is the Doctor wearing, where is he dancing, who's he doing. That's all it is. So to me, I can't I lose respect for somebody that thinks this is good. I just do. It's nothing against you. I just sort of your opinion a little. My opinion of someone goes down a little because this is just as bad or worse than Chibnall. So I don't understand how anyone could love this. I really can't. To me, it baffles my mind. Maybe at one point I can see that if you like it, great. But it's lowbrow. It's just lowbrow who. And that's just
It's very
kinda,
low quality. I think the problem is that look, I don't. If someone likes it, fine. I mean, I don't have a lower opinion of you, but it does make me question your taste in movies or TV shows. I mean, that's fine. But it does tend to put a question in my mind of your as to your taste in shows, which that happens with people that I like. But just with regard to sci-fi, I mean, if you think this is good sci-fi, then yeah, I have to question your standard for what sci-fi is, because to me this isn't really sci-fi. This is there's so much here that doesn't make sense, that isn't sci-fi. That I can't see how but I think you're right, Ian. I think people are so desperate for Doctor Who, for just to have something to latch onto, that they're willing to compromise on what would ordinarily be good values.
Yeah.
That's what's sad.
It is. It's very well. I mean, who am I to say it's sad or not? As I said, right, it's only a TV show as far as I'm concerned. It used to be a show that I couldn't miss when it played on Saturdays. But for me, now, again, scratch record. This is not Doctor Who. I have no idea what this is at all.
I mean, not that
I agree that it. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, not that it's really indicative or a driver of anything. I was just curious. I went on to Rotten Tomatoes before the show. I just wanted to see what the score was. Not that I think it's the be-all and end-all or even anything. Audience score is at 37% for this episode on Rotten Tomatoes.
What's the critics
yeah, it's telling.
What's the critics score? What's the critics score?
100.
That figures.
Really? Yeah. Of course, it's not.
Didn't see that coming.
No, didn't see it coming at all. It's crazy, isn't it? Absolutely crazy. Just honestly,
let me ask you guys. Okay, so if I just want to get back to maybe the plot. If you remove the woke elements, which maybe it's hard to separate all this, but if you remove the woke elements from the show, and let's pretend that there was a decent doctor playing this part, what would you think? How would that alter your opinion of this episode? Honestly.
I would still think it's rubbish because the story is rubbish. The actual screenplay is absolutely terrible. If you took out the beginning sequence and you had a different doctor, and he was a white male, and if Millie looked far more sexier than she does, and it was the same story, it'd still be rubbish because the story is rubbish. It's the same thing. I love Peter Bacaldi, right? But that first episode was absolute crap. The one with the dinosaur and the lizard woman kissing the other lizard woman. And no, it was just the worst episode you can present the new Doctor to. So it wouldn't make any difference if the woke elements was taken out of this. It is the screenplay is at fault right here. So that's my opinion.
Do you have any input on that, Gary and Michelle? I'll start with Gary, but do you have any input on that?
Especially on regeneration stories. Which technically, I guess this wasn't really, because we don't know at the start of this episode how long he's been this doctor, which is another change. So we missed the whole kind of orientation. But I think especially for regeneration stories, there needs to be stakes, something that tests the new doctor. We has to kind of rise to the occasion, and where we can see, hints of the old doctors, but also something new that even this doctor, is capable and confident and still is the doctor, with this first new trial that they have to go through, like 11th hour or something like that. And to me, this had none of that.
Yeah, I agree with Gary there. There's like, you take out all the woke elements, it's like, where's the story? Yeah, you have a baby being kidnapped, for nefarious purposes to be eaten, but that's it. Really? This character, was not the Doctor from all the Doctors before him, and I there's just nothing there to grab me and say, oh, here's the Doctor. Okay, he's being tested, He doesn't have his Sonic, he doesn't have the TARDIS, he doesn't have this or that. He was just all there, more concerned about, dancing and doing this other stuff. But there was just no decent story. The story should grab you within like you should be hooked in the first 5 minutes. Instead, I was like, come on, pick up pace, pick up the pace, but nothing for me. So
Do you okay, let me ask you this. Do you think, I don't know, how do you guys feel about, I mean, on average, because I am kind of the odd man out here in terms of fandom, but I'm curious what you guys think on a just general level of Christmas specials in general. How much, I don't know, qualitatively, what is your assessment? I know this is just garbage, but in the grand scheme of things, when you look at Christmas specials in Doctor Who, how would you compare those to the average episode that you like in Doctor Who? Just on average.
What you mean, like numbers?
We start with anybody, but let me just start with Gary, because,
Say that again. I'm not really sure of the question.
Yeah. Do you mean by numbers, like a scale of 1 to 10 or something? Is that what you mean?
Well, I mean, I just mean in terms of your personal likability of Christmas specials versus outside, independent of the rest of the show. How would you compare the Christmas specials on average, the quality of the Christmas specials in terms of story and engagement, compared to just regular Doctor Who on average?
I actually think this is more of a regular Doctor Who because, I mean, besides the nod that, that she happened to be born on Christmas Eve, there wasn't anything Christmassy about this whole episode. I mean, it could have been taking place in July, for all that, it had a Christmas feel.
Well, let me just stop you for a second. I mean, just let's put this episode aside, though. Let's just talk about Christmas episodes in general compared to typical Doctor Who episodes. And this is just a way for me to kind of contrast with respect to this episode, but just in general, for, I guess, purposes of comparison, how do you rate typical Doctor Who Christmas specials, not this one, but typical Doctor Who Christmas specials, compared to a typical Doctor Who story that you like? Qualitatively, like where do you stand on a qualitative level in terms of story and plot and things like that? Do you tend to revere the Christmas specials on average?
So I don't really like Christmas specials. I think majority of them are absolute rubbish. But the two that were really good was the two David Tennant ones. One where David Tennant became the Doctor. That was Christmas special. And that was really good story, well performed. The comedy was quite amusing in it. And the second one's got to be there's that one, and the one with the Titanic I thought was really good.
Voyage of the Damned.
Yeah, because they literally copied the Poseidon Adventure, and you didn't know who was going to live or who was going to die. And what resulted at the end of the Christmas special was quite shocking because some of the good guys died, and the twat guy, he survived. He deserved to die, but he didn't. And so they put a little twist on that. But compared to ordinary episodes, they were slightly above them because they were bigger and seemed more epic compared to ordinary episodes. That's the. I don't know if I answered your question there.
No, yeah, that's good input. Gary?
I mean, for me, it would be my two favorites would be Christmas Carol and Last Christmas. The Capaldi one, because I think that, I guess maybe to answer your question, I think for me, like the good Christmas specials should obviously have, the prerequisites of a good story and good characters, but they should give you kind of like a warm, cozy feeling that not necessarily some of the others would do, whether it's Capaldi meeting Santa or driving the sleigh, which is still for me one of the iconic Capaldi moments, or Matt Smith going through time to make this one guy's life better. things like that, which kind of connect with the feelings that the season brings up anyway. And if that can be successfully translated into the Doctor Who format, that to me kind of raises, that should be what the Doctor Who Christmas specials are. I don't know if that
I
answers
think
your question.
also the basis of the story, like the Voyage of the Damned story was the story was a contained story, but it was also a good concept for a Christmas episode. It was really good, and what I mean the one where David Tennant becomes the Doctor. That was good because obviously we wanted to see who the new Doctor was. But Voyage of the Dam was really good, I found, because as I said, you know, you've got this big thing in space, that's the Titanic, and you know what happened to the Titanic. You know, I mean, you played on all those things that you knew what happened in history. So the story was a level above an ordinary episode. Plus, it did look as much as they could. Did look slightly epic. The
did, absolutely.
yeah. So that's what makes a good Christmas special, in my opinion. But majority of the Christmas specials weren't very good. The floating fish one was just annoying with the girl singing. I just thought that was just rubbish. The one with the superhero thing is just so
yeah, that
bad,
was
so bad.
Did you like Ian? Did you like what about the next Doctor? Did you like that one?
That was okay. But for me, that didn't seem epic enough to be a Christmas special. It seemed more controllable. It seemed like for me, it seemed like an ordinary episode of Doctor Who. But as I said, the Voyage of the Dam seemed like an epic. That's it. To create an epic version of an episode, that should be the reason. That should be the requisite of a Christmas special. They tried with other Christmas specials, but as far as I'm concerned, they kind of failed. What's that one where Matt Smith is World War II and he meets those two?
The Widow and the Wardrobe.
Yeah, I hated
the Narnia one.
Yeah, because at the end, they basically him and the little boy, and he says to them, "Oh, because they're women, they could do these things, we can't." Do you know what I mean? I just thought, oh, okay, something's creeping in here somewhere. I think that was one of the starts of that kind of agenda creeping in. So you know what I mean. But that's what I think. I think the Christmas special should be aiming towards more epic rather than episode. Majority of them did that, but majority of the stories weren't very good in my opinion. So there you go.
Yeah, great input. Michelle and Blue Bonnet, I wanted to get the same. I wanted to pose the same question to you guys in terms of, you know, how do you view the Christmas special? I mean, I'm talking to Michelle, but how would you view not this Christmas special, but Christmas specials in general compared to typical Doctor Who? How do you view the Christmas specials in general?
Well, I definitely like Last Christmas, the one with Peter Capaldi there, and then those aliens in the jar, and are they asleep, are they awake? And you got Nick Frost as Santa, and you got the guy who plays the Centaur and also playing the elf. I cannot think of his name. And
Starkey.
Yeah, love him. Just that whole story within a story there. And at Christmas time, you got the elements of the snow, you got the elements of Christmas time, you got Christmas crackers, you got Clara growing old, and then another one that I like is, when the Ninth Doctor regenerated into 10, and then you have David Tennant hold up in Rose's and her mom's place, and they're after him. Okay, well, what's after him? And you got Jackie taking care of him, and you got this new man in. Okay, well, who is he? We don't know that yet. We have to keep watching the story to find out. And you got the aliens, the Sycorax, and he became the Doctor. The defining moment for me in that show, when they tried to stab him in the back with the sword, and he took the Satisum and threw it and, knocked the guy off the ship and said, "No second chances. I'm that sort of man." That's when he became the Doctor. That's how the Doctor should be, period. And you had the Christmas setting because you had Rose and Mickey out trying to do some Christmas shopping and everything. And just, it had a whole Christmassy feel. And that's what I liked about, those particular episodes. And I did kind of like The Next Doctor as well. It was just an interesting concept. You had all the kids and they were working on down below for the big Cyberman thing. And you had the doctor rescue him and all that. And Jackson Lake got his life back and everything. And it was supposed to be a family show. And I miss those things. Granted, here in the States, we didn't get to watch them on Christmas Day, but, I had to wait for DVDs. But that's my take on the Christmas stuff.
Good input. Good input.
I just want to say real quick, the more I think about what Ian was saying, I think there's something to be said for the fact that since these are actually called specials, that they do warrant kind of like an epic, they do necessitate kind of like an epicness to just warrant being called a special.
Yeah. Well, one word you guys are leaving out is magical, because before they were much more magical. There was nothing magical about this at all. There's no warm. You don't get like a little kid feeling, when you watch a Christmas episode, because it's supposed to kind of bring you back to that. There's nothing, and this is made for kids, and it doesn't do anything for me. It just basically makes, I just don't care. I just want it over. I just want it to end. I just can't wait to see the end credits so I can just go and watch something else I like.
What about the bit where he's dancing in the discotheque?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That
doesn't feel Christmassy to you, Andy?
Not at all. It didn't seem Christmassy at all. It's like I used to, when they would come on, like BBC America, when they would run Doctor Who, they would do a marathon of all the Christmas episodes, including the In Quiet Dead sometimes, which is my favorite sort of Christmas episode, even though it's not considered. They would just play anything Christmas related with Doctor Who, and this doesn't fit with them at all. I mean, if you're going to bring a Christmas episode back, bring it back. Don't just throw this in here. This is Chibnall all over it.
You've got to, when you do a Christmas special, you're right, it's got to be Christmassy, and you've got to have that feeling of Christmas. The last feeling of Christmas I got from something on TV was, I don't know if you remember it, there was this Paddington advert and this guy was Robin taking all the stuff, and he thought he was Santa and he was helping him put the presents back. Do you ever see that ad? It was on British TV. Oh. And that was quite magical. I don't believe so. It was so basically Paddington had seen this guy stealing stuff from houses, and he thought that he was kind of helping Santa put the presents in. So he confronts him and he says, okay, well, I'll help you. And he's putting all the presents back and stuff like that. It's an advert for something I can't remember.
Okay.
But it was quite.
I'll find that on YouTube.
Yeah, he gives him a Marmite sandwich at the ending, and the obviously because of the kindness that comes from Paddington, he literally gives in at the ending and takes the sandwich. Do you know what I mean? So that kind of kindness, cool. That kind of magic about Christmas was kind of in Voyage of the Dam. It wasn't totally Christmas, but it was getting there. And that
it had a magical edge to it too. It did.
Yeah, epic kind of. And also the bit, I don't know what episode this is from, when Matt Smith lands his TARDIS and he knocks on the door and Amy opens it up and says to him, well, it's about time, and he goes, we've got a seat ready for you. And the doctor says, you have a seat ready for me? And she goes, yeah, we do it every Christmas just in case you pop in. And then
I think that was the Narnia one.
Yeah, and then he says, and then they say, come on, come in. And he stands there and a tear comes in his eye, doesn't he? Yeah. And then he just walks in. So that kind of thing is that kind of Christmas kindness. That's what Christmas episodes needs. It needs kindness in abundance to make Christmas work, right? So,
I think he was trying that when Shooty was basically sobbing about, the four foster children, but it just didn't. I didn't feel it. I didn't feel anything. I just felt nothing but like, I don't care. I really don't. And that's a sad place to be especially when a show that, you used to love, you really did. And you're just watching it just like,
Andy, we didn't mention that yet, about how many episodes is this in a row where RTD is validating timeless children. Is that like
Oh,
at least like
yes.
the third episode in a row?
Yes,
like,
I
it's the
remember
same-
when everybody was saying that it was retconned.
Yeah,
This
where
kind of
everybody-
says it's
yeah.
not.
So it's like every episode now we're going to get a reference to how the Timeless Children is. I mean, that's alone. That's enough right there. You know,
but they have established that the Timeless. I mean, the thing is though, right? He did a lot of kind things in this episode, the Shooty Doctor, right? But unfortunately, when it comes to kindness, the smaller it is, the more kinder it seems. You could be a millionaire and give millions away to people, and that's nice. But it's the kind of kindness that he can afford. But when somebody helps you and they have nothing, that's the kind of kindness that reaches your heart. So if they wanted that kind of Christmas feel to this episode, that's what they should have done. He does something really small, like for instance, the old lady that lives across the way, maybe she couldn't afford her shopping or something like that, and he zaps the ATM and some money comes out for her or something like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Something like that, instead of trying to save a baby from getting eaten.
Didn't Tennant did that in Voyage of the Damned at the very end.
He did, yeah. He gave the guy at the ending, he had millions in his bank account, didn't he? At the end, and he started shouting. That kind of kindness is kindness, isn't it? We're talking about kindness that doesn't show. You don't show off with that kind of kindness. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I guess him saving Davina McCall on Christmas.
I guess stupid.
I mean, that's what the Doctor does anyway. But yeah,
that was played for a joke. But genuine kindness in a screenplay, as I said, you just pointed it out with that guy. He said, "Oh well, how much money have I got?" And it's about 2 million, whatever, and you could see he's really happy. I was like, what, 2 million? And the Doctor's like, how much is that in these days? You know what I mean? And he's like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? So that kind of thing, that's kind of kindness, if you know what I mean. That kind of pulls in your heartstrings. Yeah. But
by the way, how did you know that she needed to be saved anyway?
Oh, because she disappeared from time and he had to go back in time.
No. The lady with the tree.
Oh, Davina McCall.
I don't know. It's a stupid story. It's a stupid. It's played for a gag. Yeah, basically, and it's not a very funny gag either.
No, RTD. He's got leftist humor disease.
Is he?
Yeah, it's just the jokes that he does in these. I mean, it was once cute, like in 2005 and stuff like that. Some of them was okay, but now it's just over the top stupid. I don't even. Even then, I didn't like it particular, but also now it's just insufferable.
Another thing that they didn't do, which they did a lot in the first Doctor Who ones, is that they always reserved the ending for him to say, "I'm the Doctor." He must have said, "I'm the Doctor" 3 times in this episode before it came to the final one, which really spoilt it because, as I said, with Matt Smith, he never said it until he confronts the big eye in the sky, doesn't he? So, and that makes it special, doesn't it? So, yeah. But
and also, like, why didn't he confront? Like, it was just very this end part where they, he basically rams the church spear through the goblin, right? There's no confrontation. There's no speech. There's no I'm the man.
It's anticlimactic.
It is. You're right. It is. I just don't understand this kind of Doctor Who. If people like this kind of Doctor Who, they're welcome to it. I just think it's a waste of opportunity to make Doctor Who good again.
I wanted to ask.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Michelle.
We say we don't like it, and we're adamant, and we can tell you why we don't like it. I get so sick and tired of having to try to defend why I don't like it. We're labeled transphobes, xenophobic, bigots, and everything else. I'm like, really? How about sweep around your own doors? We're the ones that are choosing to walk away and say, have at it. We're just going to sit back and watch it crash and burn. But yet we're the ones always attacked for standing our ground.
Being gay, being black, being transgender does not insulate you from criticism when you're an entertainer.
That's true. That's absolutely
I agree.
True. And also, don't get involved in. If you're on Twitter, don't get involved in those conversations. I never do. Well, what's the point
Yeah.
of talking to anyone? It's your opinion, and that's it. I mean, let them argue amongst themselves. You know.
You know,
Yeah,
and
that's why
everybody says,
sometimes I'll see the
Go ahead.
stuff and I'll just scroll on through and laugh. And I'm like, I'm looking at how outlandish these people really are. And it's like, oh my word, do you really see and understand how much of an idiot you really are when you are saying this sort of thing? And you can't back anything up. But I guess just brainwashed. I don't know.
And the go-to argument is, well, if you don't like it, don't watch it. My response to that would be, well, with those ratings, maybe telling people not to watch isn't the brightest idea. And also, if you're going to, try to convince me to come back after the Chibnall train wreck, this isn't the way to do it.
I agree. I
meant to ask Bluebonnet, what is your take on just Christmas specials in general compared to regular Doctor Who?
Oh, I just I enjoy them. Like, I enjoy them for what they are. Granted, I get they're not supposed to be ultra serious as the regular episodes, but I enjoy them for what they are. I mean, I used to look forward to it, and it was a highlight of the Christmas holiday. When even the ones that I didn't care for, it still was a highlight. This isn't, compared to this isn't a highlight. This is just like a chore,
Andy, are you going to get the Goblin King Funko when it comes out?
No. 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 I will get no merchandise from this era at all.
Have you downloaded the song?
No. Yeah. Oh my God, no! I wouldn't torture my computer that way. My computer
is that still on the charts? Because I know at one time, wasn't it like #1 or something?
That's number 2, mate. That's what it is. Yeah, it's a number 2.
It sure is. It's number 2.
I actually played a clip of that song.
Hello, she gone. She gone?
RTD got her.
Michelle, if you can hear us, you are totally cutting out. You're not even audible.
It's not gonna push out White Christmas as the one of the great Christmas songs.
No, it's not, is it?
I find it hard to believe that this song actually ended up #1 on any chart anywhere on any planet.
Yeah. Again, right? There's so many avenues they could have gone down to actually present this new Doctor to us. Separated from David Tennant Doctor, but they chose this, and I'm totally puzzled why they chose this. I really am. It's the worst story to give to a new Doctor. It really is, because the story is just nonsensical. It's rubbish. So there you go.
And then we had Ncuti Gatwa in an interview. Did any of you guys read that, where he said he lived in his own bubble, and that's what that's kind of what he's going to bring to the screen. I don't remember the exact quote.
Well, no, he was saying that there's one episode in the upcoming season that is really going to lean into, I think his quote was, his leftist liberal agenda, and there's one episode that's going to heavily lean into that.
He mentioned bubble, though. He mentioned bubble specifically. That's what stood out to me, is that he said, I live in my own bubble here, and that's what I'm bringing to whatever episode you're referring to. And I thought, that's great. No, and I'm sure RTD agrees. I'm sure they all live in their own bubble, but as a show that's supposed to appeal to a wide audience, you might want to step out of that bubble and take into consideration what people who actually appreciate the show want to see. I mean, that's going to fall on deaf ears, but it's true.
They don't care. They don't care about the old Doctor Who fans. All they want is what they want, and they have the power now. It's this has been an ongoing thing for years. These people. Well, I hate to say these people because that sounds a bit crap, doesn't it? The people that are in charge. Well, the people that are in charge now, they're of that influence, aren't they? So they have the power now. So they're the gatekeepers of true entertainment, and they're determined to basically groom kids and determined to show the world that this is really important, what they think is really important. And it's not at all. The idea of trans men sharing toilets with women, women don't understand it. It's an attack on them. They really don't understand, and I'm really finding it puzzled why they don't understand this kind of thing is an attack on women as well. But I guess they'll wake up one day. This is just a tragedy, this Doctor Who.
And now a moment of silence for as they
Sorry,
bring the casket through.
Light a candle.
Do I need to play taps now? Do I need to play taps?
But you know what? I mean,
Da, da.
here's the thing: I think even though obviously we're kind of having, at least me, kind of having fun with it. I think in terms of really a lot of what Ian has said and the way he said it, I think mirrors kind of really how I'm feeling, because obviously I'm kind of spoofing and having fun, but I mean, to me, it really is a sadness that the legacy of the show, the memory of the show, is kind of being kind of desecrated in this way. And you can rationalize all the reasons that it's happening, but I mean, it still makes me sad. And yeah, I mean, I do have all the the old show and stuff, and I still get all the box sets of the classic and stuff, but just it's disturbing to know that, okay, well, yeah, that something that's being called Doctor Who that is so not Doctor Who is out there. I mean, that's I mean, I've gone through the 5 stages of grief back in 2017, about the show. So, but it still makes me sad that what the show is now is this.
Do you know?
And what's to write on that point though? What it is sad, and I think another point to be made, I think, riding on the coattails of yours, would be it's sad in another respect, which is that it taints the legacy of a great show. Right? It taints the legacy of the franchise. So it reflects badly. It leaves a bad taste in new viewers' mouths, and it reflects badly on, Classic Who, because people who haven't seen Classic Who may have liked Classic Who, may be so completely turned off by what they're seeing here that they wouldn't even invest the time to look at the show in its entirety. You know what I mean?
Also, I think if people are angry, get angry at what I'm saying or what any of us are saying, that just says a lot about you, and how attached you are to Doctor Who in general. And it's not healthy to be that attached to a TV show. Definitely not. I love Doctor Who, and it's part of my childhood, and I want Doctor Who to, in my words, get better. But I can see it's not going to get better. I can see that they're taking it down a road that is not for me, so I let it go. I don't get angry when people say that I'm talking rubbish, or or my opinions are silly, or I'm this phobe and that phobe. I don't get upset. You know why? Because I will underline this: it's just a TV show. It's not life and death. It's just a TV show, so I don't mind. But if you're angry at the things that have been said on this platform, then I think you have to check yourself before you wreck yourself, put it that way. So
I mean, you're right, though. It is a TV show, but at the same time, Ian, wouldn't you agree that there's a lot more going on that outside the scope that is related to the show? It goes beyond just the show. Yeah, it's an entertainment wide phenomenon, and that's why people are so upset. I think it bleeds into their feeling about this show, but it's a collective emotion that they're feeling related to everything that's going on a much larger scale. Wouldn't you agree?
I do agree, but there are a lot of people that are upset with us saying we're going to leave it alone now. We're not going to watch it. There are a lot of people out there upset. They think we should watch it, but we've given our reasons why. And if you're angry with that, that's what I'm saying. If you're angry with that, then basically it's a.
But aren't these the same people saying, right? Hey, if you don't like it, don't watch it?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. But they say that hoping that you would watch it. Remember that woman that said, if you don't like my books, then don't buy them. She's literally saying, well, I don't care. Yeah, a lot of people are going to buy them. Then they didn't. So that's what I'm saying. I don't care if I've literally let go of Doctor Who. I appreciate what I experienced in Doctor Who, but this is not Doctor Who. But you get people that get angry with you because you say that this is not for me anymore. And then when I ask you for a reason why, and you tell them, they get angrier, if there's such a word as angrier. So I just don't understand that concept at all. I really don't.
I mean, you can say that this isn't for me anymore. And then when you do that, they're like, you know, then they get angry. And then, but then they'll tell you, this isn't your show anymore. I know. I already said that. I don't want any part of this show. You can have the corpse. Here it is. I'll give it to you. I don't care. But that's not good enough. They want to bully you into just eating it up and loving it. And I refuse. I refuse to do that. So, and of course,
I
I'm
mean,
opinion about it.
hypocrisy is all over these things. Just like these movies recently in the last couple of years that they tell men, this isn't for you. Men don't need to show up. They're not the target audience. Go away. And then when it tanks, they say, well, it's the fault of those men who didn't show up and make it a success. It's like, pick a lane. Pick a lane. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
absolutely right.
And my thing is, and I'm still going to give my opinion. And if you don't like it, you know, do what you're telling me to do. Don't read my post. Just like you telling me, don't watch. Don't read my post. Scroll on by. Get a life. You know, don't respond to everything that I say. You know, I really don't. I don't go looking for these people at all. I don't care what they think. I know what I think, and I'm going to still give my opinion. So, you know, take your own advice. If you don't like what I'm saying, then turn the TV off. Turn your Twitter off. Go somewhere else.
Could you put up Time Mechanics quote, which I think says it all?
I didn't leave Doctor Who. Doctor Who left me.
Yeah, well, that's a good way of putting it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
we're about to see what the next era of Doctor Who might be like. I'm saying might because this is just a trailer, but just based on that, I think you can kind of get a lot of the maybe where this is headed. So this is going to be our last, and then we'll go around and ask people what their thoughts on about how way they think this era might be going.
I'm not sure what a Ric Flair woo sounds like.
It's an old wrestling reference. You remember Ric Flair? Ric Flair was a pro wrestler from the 80s. Yeah, so he would be like, woo!
I'll do that at the end then.
Okay.
Woo! Yeah. Are we going to watch the
That
trailer?
was the lamest Ric
Yes.
Flair
No,
woo
that
that I've
wasn't it.
ever heard in my life.
I was just be practicing.
All right.
I'm sorry. I've got a frog in my throat. Just kidding.
Is that what they're calling it these days?
That was for
All right.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so did the trans on Doctor Who this episode.
Are we going to watch the
Right.
trailer?
Yes, we're going to watch the trailer.
Is there audio? I'm not hearing the audio.
It's better without audio.
Really? Does not everybody hear the audio?
Did you enable it when you shared it?
sorry.
This is just in my presentation.
I don't know.
What century is this that he can dance with a white man and be black with a black wig? Don't understand what's going on.
It's Russell's fantasy century.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I can't wait to see what they do with the Beatles.
I can because I'm not watching it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to watch it. This looks like absolute trash.
Oh, there's the new master, Jinx Monsoon.
Oh, look. Oh, what's her name's back again? The
Yeah.
25-year-old that's trying to play a 15-year-old.
That's right.
Stupidness.
All this.
Dr. Pooh.
I
Dr.
just-
Ooh.
oh.
I am the
Well.
doctor. I am the doctor.
So I guess there's no
I-
outfit. He is different, dresses different every episode, I guess.
Yeah. This is why I think the budget was spent on his outfits.
Grief.
This is not the
Yes,
doctor.
let's
Yeah,
change
where's
our
all
clothes
the
and be a
orange? Where's the orange?
let's change our clothes and be a fashion model for the entire hour.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
No thanks.
It's all those merch
Pass.
deals. It's all those merch deals he's setting up after he leaves the show.
I may actually, I know I said I was telling Bluebonnet I'm not going to watch this because I'm not. I don't have any interest in this. I mean, the Christmas special really was like a nuclear bomb. It just turned me off completely. But I mean, this is a different. I don't know. I don't think this guy has much range at all. But I am kind of curious seeing this, how he's going to play this independent of the Christmas special. Just out of curiosity, not even expecting anything, but just out of curiosity. So I may skim through it.
I'm not going to watch it at all. I'm not going to watch it. I don't even. The Beatles is one of my favorite bands of all time. I've got every one of their albums. I hate to see what they're going to do to the Beatles. I hate.
Well, Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr would have to sign off on anything they do. So it'll. I mean, I'm curious as well. Like, how far are they going to let them ruin the Beatles?
Mind you, they did put Hitler in a cupboard, didn't they? So, so maybe
I actually thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
You know, but this is just, it doesn't look like it's Doctor Who.
Which of the Beatles hits will be inspired by
Shooty's
by
Doctor?
Shooty. Yeah, that's the only question.
Do you know? There's a rumor going around that there's going to be a triangle in this season.
Oh yeah.
So it's Millie's boyfriend fancies the Doctor or some nonsense like that. It's gonna be silly, but
that's why Ian, that's why I call this version Brokeback TARDIS.
I can't quit you. Yeah, Brokeback TARDIS.
I just it doesn't feel like Doctor Who. Like the creatures in this look bad. I'm sorry, they just look bad. You think that, this is 2023, we can't do a little bit better CGI than that? Can't do a little bit better practical effects than that? Come on, man.
I think the Gremlins from the movie Gremlins would have been better than the Goblins, to be honest. After they get wet, it would have been more exciting.
Yeah.
Let me address the comment by Jack Thursby. I don't really care, because my one view isn't going to add anything of substance, and not everyone's going to be viewing it like I am out of curiosity. So my one little view isn't going to matter in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, there's the argument that someone could make, well, if everyone thought like you, well, everyone doesn't think like me, and I doubt everyone's going to be tuning in out of curiosity. And if they do, then my one little view isn't going to make any difference either way. So that's how I deal with that.
I will say, for the cheap seats, that I give you my blessing if you like this Doctor. Good luck, and I hope you enjoy what's coming. But for me, I'm out. You can't say any fairer than that. I do not wish you ill health if you want to watch Doctor Who. I think it's great if you like this Doctor Who. That's fantastic. Good luck. But if you have a problem me saying this is not for me, then you've got to question yourself, right? Because I don't have a problem if you like it at all. So why should you have a problem if I don't like it? There you go.
I agree. I totally agree. And Jason's skimming. So skimming is not the same thing as like watching the whole episode. And I guarantee by the second skim, he's going to turn off. There's no way.
It'll probably be counted as a view. I just don't think it's going to make a difference in the grand scheme of things, because most people aren't going to. If you don't like the show, you're probably not going to be tuning in like I am out of curiosity. Yeah, it is supporting the show, but I'm not. I mean, I don't really care, because I don't think most people are going to be tuning in.
Well, the normies, right, don't realize what's going on. Again, I tell this story. I was shooting something, and I said to one of the co-producers, "The Doctor's a black woman now," and she just laughed. And I said, "I'm not joking." And I showed her a picture of Cancer Estate Doctor, and she couldn't believe it. She just couldn't believe it. She was stunned. She goes, "That can't be the Doctor." I'm saying, "And why would you have a doctor as a woman and a black woman at that?" That's what she said to me. And I'm like, I don't know. That's where it's going at the moment. So I think a lot of normies don't realize that the Shooty is the Doctor. And I don't know how they're going to accept Shooty as the Doctor, but we'll see. We'll see with the ratings as we go along, right? And I won't, but somebody will report the ratings, and then I'll get to know. So,
I don't think in America, I don't think most people, unless they're a fan, care. I don't think this would appeal to anybody, that I know personally that's not into Doctor Who that likes sci-fi. I just don't think this is going to appeal to a normal person over here in America.
Yeah.
When I say normal, I mean like somebody that's not a Doctor Who fan.
On Disney Plus, they call this one on Disney Plus Ian, they call it Special 4. They don't call it the Doctor Who Christmas Special. It's just listed on Disney Plus as Doctor Who Special 4. So I guess that they're reserving all of their big, season 1 marketing push until May.
Good luck, everybody.
Let me jump in real quick. For the viewers of the stream right now, I just wanted to say, if you guys are enjoying the stream right now, please do us a favor and hit the like button. It will help the YouTube algorithm tremendously. It'll promote this channel to people who maybe need to hear this. Yeah, you don't
want to see more of that. You don't.
Oh gosh.
And send all your hate mail to the email that's attached to this in the description below, because I'm sure I'll be getting some hate mail.
Well,
that's on the daily.
I don't think there's anyone in the chat that hates what we're saying. I mean, I'm being reasonable here. I haven't insulted anyone or did any kind of racist, statements or anything like that. And I say that truly, hand on heart. I want diversity, more diversity, and I want people to be represented on screen, but not like this.
Yeah,
not like this. This is wrong. This is morally wrong what they're doing in Doctor Who. So there you go.
They're really. I think the messaging we've seen the messaging. Like I've used this analogy before. If this were a mixing board, the messaging would the messaging level would be like 10. The story would be sitting at 4 or 3. I mean, you being in production, Ian, you know what I'm talking about. On a mixing board, the messaging is just way too hard. It's deafening anything else.
Yep.
And it's just a stupidity too. Apparently there's a slider for stupidity, and they have just bumped that up to 20.
Oh dear.
Are we gonna rate this?
Yes. Is there a number lower than -0?
You can
-001.
Any number you want.
Just it's beyond any negative number. I don't know. It's so bad. It really put me in a mood on Christmas, and I haven't gotten out of that mood.
That's why I didn't watch it then.
Well, that hasn't put me in any mood. I knew this. I kind of suspected this was going to happen, that I wasn't going to like Shooty. I went in the episode, totally wanting to accept this new era. And what I got didn't satisfy me at all. So in that case, I'm out, So, I really want it to succeed, really, this new Doctor and stuff. But what they're presenting us with is, again, morally wrong.
I don't want it to succeed on that level. I mean, if it wasn't that, but because they're doing that, I have to say I hope it burns, because when it comes to kids, that's when my anger starts showing. So it's not just Jodie Whittaker was one thing, but this is just beyond.
Ian, are you giving it a 0 then? I mean, Andy apparently gave it like -infinity. What would be yours? 0?
Mine's is -infinity as well. It was absolute trash.
Okay.
It was. The story wasn't very good. The performances were terrible.
Yeah.
The only I could give it a 1 because the special effects was good and Murray Gold's music was good and the sets were nice. But that's about it, really. But that's me being generous. But I don't feel like being generous today. I think -0 is a good number for this show, because it failed at almost everything, didn't it? Let's face it. So there you go.
Michelle, what would be your score?
Yeah, about along those lines. When you go after kids, I draw a line at that. I have 4 of my own, and I'm gonna fight tooth and nail and move heaven and hell, for my kids. And when you go after the kids, no, that line, you cross that line, and I'm like, no. So that definitely -infinity, whatever you want to call it.
Times 10. Jason?
I based the rating on my enjoyment, and I was not I didn't enjoy the episode whatsoever. There was no, I mean, okay, the only scene that I slightly enjoyed, and this isn't going to affect my rating at all. That I thought was somewhat entertaining is when he's popping over the chimneys. You know, that scene where he's chasing the ladder that's attached to the Goblin ship. That was somewhat humorous. There was some amount of I don't know, a trivial amount of humor, but I was slightly chuckling to myself a little bit, and that quickly fell away when I saw him land on the ladder and start smiling. But yeah, I give it a 0. I mean, I really was not entertained, and that's really what I think this is about. Yeah, there was good special effects. Is that enough to sway my? No, that's not. I mean, that should be the baseline. Should be it had good production, good special effects. But I'm looking at like, was I entertained by it? No, there was nothing about it that was entertaining. Special effects be damned.
I mean, for me, this wasn't. I agree with Ian and Jason. It's like the effects of the ship were good, but to me, the fact that it wasn't in service to anything, you know, and even though, you know, and the whole thing about the babies, you know, I didn't like. I thought that was just kind of soulless. I'd probably give it a 0 out of 10. I mean, to me, this wasn't Fonzie jumping the shark. This was Roy Scheider jamming an oxygen tank into the shark's mouth, shooting it with a rifle, and blowing it into a million pieces. So I'd give it a 0.
Wow.
0.
That's higher than ours.
We got three negative infinities and 2 zeros. So good job, Russell.
So what is that? What is that? If you tally all that up, what's the final score?
I don't know.
Something negative.
It's not good.
Negative infinity plus 2 or something. I don't know.
No, it wouldn't even be a +2 because they were both 0. I think there's a error here somewhere. The show's just a big error.
But isn't this anyone in the chat that gave it more than a -0?
Sadako gave it a 1. Matthew
Oh
Pounder.
my God, I'm shocked.
Matthew Pounder gave it a. So obviously a Hitchhiker's fan there. -42.
I think John Steed gave it a 2, which I was shocked by.
It's a negative
Which
infinity and
is
beyond.
really bad.
I like that.
Yeah.
Peter Harrington gave it -276.
Wow. That's specific.
You know, yeah, a lot of zeros.
You're all racist and bigots. The show is more popular than ever, and Shooty's a doctor, whether you like or not. So cry hot or Nazis. Obviously, he's not serious. Oh.
Yeah, you know what? I am a bigot. I hate TV shows that waste my time.
We shouldn't
Me
say that,
too.
you know, because if you become famous one day, Gary, they'll pull this out.
I think that this has nullified any chance of me becoming famous.
Well, I will say this. My chance of ever becoming famous in the celebrity world that's forget it. That's never going to happen. There's so much footage of me saying things that I'm sure that people are offended by, but ask if I care. I don't. So it is what it is.
It is what it is, and it's rubbish. There you go.
Mm.
That's a word Americans don't embrace. Rubbish.
No, well,
No, we should embrace that more, though.
Yeah, embrace it.
We call it shit usually. That's what we use a lot. Or garbage.
Darren in the chat says absolute 0, a very scientific answer. Absolute 0 -273.15. So there you go.
Well, we should have had him tally up.
Yeah,
the
a full scale.
Yes, that's the Kelvin scale.
Yeah.
Is there anyone in the
mercy.
chat that liked this episode or thought it was half decent? Anyone? Because I feel this whole live stream is kind of, you know, bent one way, if to put it nicely. Is there anyone that liked it?
I think anybody in the chat who liked it stormed off about an hour ago.
Oh, or they would have definitely said something.
They're basically already posting bad Twitter comments.
Or they've already taken screenshots of all the comments and all the video, and they're already making a hate video, I'm sure, somewhere that I don't know about because I never looked that stuff up.
But of course they won't put the bits where, you know, I said I'm all for diversity and And Gary said some positive things, and and Jason, they won't put those things up. They just put the things up that they think what we said was negative about it, won't they?
Jack, Ian will
Yeah,
not.
which is a
Ian is
lot.
not, he is not scoffing Jaffa cakes. I think
No, I'm not.
He's eating some right now, probably.
Well, I mean egg. If you want to know.
Oh, you're eating something healthy.
Well, yeah, I haven't had anything to eat today. So.
Ian got something great for Christmas about that. Tell him about what you got for Christmas.
Oh bloody hell,
Jaffa.
Yeah, I got a Jaffa cakes, a triangle.
You got a Jaffa tree.
Yeah, exactly. From Sarah.
Oh, wow.
This is amazing. But also I got a Doctor Who T-shirt.
That's
and,
cool.
It looks good from the front, but when you turn around, it's got David Tennant and what's her name?
Donna Noble.
Donna Noble from the
Catherine Tate.
Yeah, from the 60th.
Oh, then you need to burn it now.
I can always put a coat on and cover the back.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. Unfortunately, Russell T Davies ruined her character, in my opinion, sadly.
He just ruined Doctor Who full stop, in my opinion.
Yeah, he actually ruined David Tennant for me. I don't think I can watch the old era without thinking about it, which is kind of sad,
No, I can, right, because I'd watch the 50th any day, and I can watch the 5 Doctors any day because they're great. They're great little films, basically, as far as I'm concerned. But I'm not going to let what Russell T done to Doctor Who spoil my enjoyment of the past Doctors. So he can just suck it, you know what I mean? So basically,
well, I'm sure I'll get over it. I think it's just that, you kind of do, you kind of do have some high hopes that he was gonna fix it a little bit, at least sort of. I knew it wasn't going to be like perfect, but I didn't expect him to do what he did with the 60th. That was a big shock to me. I kind of expecting it in the Shooty era that it was going to be woke, but 60th. Man, he really made up his mind to kind of just crap on everybody's happiness in that.
Jack's exactly right with this. I was actually thinking about that last night too. Is that all it takes is putting on, a great Doctor Who story, and you're instantly still in love with Doctor Who. I mean, all of this stuff that Chibnall and this version of Russell T. I mean, real Doctor Who can't be affected by all these arrogant ideologues. I mean, the show has that capacity to instantly help you just rediscover the love for it. That you don't lose.
Let me ask you guys, what do you predict I want to say the reception will be by the end of this season. What do you foresee? Just an estimate. I'm not going to hold anybody to it. Nobody else will. As far as maybe ratings, the viewing figures. What do you foresee that ending up at? Or even maybe on the 7-day for this Christmas special. Where do you stand on that? And I'll start with maybe Ian.
I think he might be away from his mic.
Or you're muted.
We'll go to Gary. What do you think, Gary?
I think that the curiosity factor has already been satisfied. Jodie's biggest ratings was for her first one because everybody was the curiosity factor. After that began the continuous drop in the ratings. Curiosity factor has already been satisfied. I think maybe the first episode you might get, depending on what it is, you might get viewers, but I think you're going to still get the steady decline. They won't be up to whatever this Christmas one turns out to be in terms of numbers.
Gotcha. Ian?
What was the question? Sorry.
I was asking, and then I want to go to Michelle and then Blue Bonnet, but what do you foresee in terms of when this season, by the end of this season, where do you foresee the reception sitting? And where do you, like with this Christmas special, though, I guess we could also I was asking, all of you, where would you see the ratings, the viewing figures for the 7-day on maybe the Christmas special? But like I said, more importantly, where do you see people sitting in terms of, what's your prediction in terms of the reception of this era by the end of this season?
I think it's going to be lukewarm. Obviously, the media is going to try their best to try and hype it up. But I think having Shooty in the last episode of the 60th wandering around with no pants and I hate to say this word, mincing around, didn't do this episode any favors. Once people saw that, some people who don't like that, they basically left. Hence why for this episode we only had 4 million watching, and it wasn't 5 basically. So a good chunk of people left because of that. Because obviously I agree with Doctor being a sexual creature, I guess. So coming back to your question, this season I think it's going to be lukewarm. I'll be surprised if it reaches up to 5 million again per episode. I think it will go down even further. I'm hoping not for the fans that like this kind of stuff, and I think it's going to die a horrible death, because if Russell T doesn't stop sticking his agenda in there, then people are just going to tune off, I reckon. Even if the normies did like this episode, they're not stupid. Well, some of them are, but they're gonna latch on. they're gonna notice what's going on, and then more are gonna tune out. So I think Russell T should be careful. Then again, the shows are made, so that's what I think anyway.
Very good. Michelle?
Yeah, I think people will tune in initially, maybe some new fans from their friends or whatever. But I think that over the course of 8, 9 episodes, however long it is, I think the numbers are going to just start tapering off, because I think he's going to lose people, whether it's intentional or not, because people are just going to choose to walk away and say, I don't have time for this crap, and I got better things to do, or, I just don't like this kind of stuff anymore. It's not what the show originally was. And so I think it's going to just slowly crash and burn. And if it gets above 3 million, maybe 3.5, I'll be surprised.
All right. Blue Bonnet.
I kind of tend to, I'm kind of going with what Michelle is saying. It's probably initially there'll be some people like just out of curiosity still, because I think it's hard for people to let go. I'm not going to say it's going to be a steaming pile of trash fire at the beginning. It probably won't, but I think it will eventually get there. And I think you're going to see a lot more people tuning out, like Ian was saying, that they're probably going to see the light and go, what is he doing here? Like, this is not, even if the ones that did like a Christmas special, I think because he's going to put even more wokeness in it as it goes on. And I think once they get to that political episode, I think that's when you're going to see a steaming pile of trash, floating by slowly. I think at that point, that's when it's going to get really, really bad. So.
Okay. I mean, we got a lot of people in the who are viewing that seem to have an opinion on it. But yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, because people tune into the show to escape whatever's going on out in the real world politically or whatever, to just relax and have fun and unwind. Well, now that's crossed over into the TV world now, and it's inundated everywhere we turn. It could be a sci-fi show, it could be a football game, a baseball game, a hockey game, anything. It's everywhere you turn, and especially children's shows. And it's like, really? I want an escape, not an indoctrination. And it's going to just continue to keep going down this path no matter where we turn. That's why I go back to old shows.
For sure. Well, I think this pretty much wrapped everything up. We've all determined this is a gigantic trash fire, I think, or this is going to be a trash fire. I don't know. But it's been fun.
It inspired this amazing ensemble, so it's not all bad.
Yeah, right. Exactly. We got Gary in something besides a bikini. He loves those.
Here's I guess they need a woo. Woo! Is that the woo?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Gary's costume, 10 out of 10.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you need a name. You need a
I'll be
name
wearing
besides
this
Retro
again. I'll
Doc.
be wearing this again for the Jinx Monsoon episode, everybody. So make sure you're here.
You're saying that we're going to review the episode? Curse you.
Man,
You'll
I
be
can't
doing it by
wait.
yourself.
I can't wait.
Oh boy. Oh mercy.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining. It's been great. Thanks to Mega
Oh,
Geek.
and also, before we forget, if you have enjoyed this stream, please subscribe, like the channel, because it definitely helps the YouTube algorithm to promote the message and get it out there. And we appreciate everybody viewing. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you.
Hey, what?
Nature Boy Retro Doc. That's funny.
What does that mean, Jack?
All right, guys.
You'll be hearing from my
See you
lawyer,
later.
Jack.
Bye.